You're tuned to The Drive on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. Steelers Nation Radio.
I think maybe the sad thing is that it didn't even necessarily feel like a two-possession game. It felt a little more lopsided than that.
I mean, frankly, you could take the Roman Wilson touchdown out of things. It's a positive. Maybe it's something he can build on, trying to start with a good note. But it was a tough watch, and there's no question about it. Early on, I thought it was very even, and I thought the Steelers and the commentaries, Collinsworth and those guys kept saying, it's like, man, 3 or 4 big plays, the Steelers left meat on the bone early in the game. And I'm not trying to candy coat it. They got beat bad in this game, but it probably goes different if Porter picks that ball off or if you could get them into more pass-heavy situations. Because I always do a podcast, and the night games are tough, but as soon as the game's over at night, it's like midnight, 12:15 or whatever, I do a podcast from my basement. And I'll admit, after like a Sunday night loss, much of everything that comes out of my mouth is, this is bad. Oh, man.
Negative. I'm tired. It's
late.
I'm
tired, and, they just got beat.
I don't want to hear about you being tired today.
I had a much easier world than you guys.
We landed at 6:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time today, and it was a crowded plane, so I didn't even have an extra seat or room to spread out or anything.
Okay,
so
it was a long flight.
It was one of my least favorite flights I've ever been on in my life, considering the circumstances.
Real cheery and fun.
As you can imagine.
Yeah, nobody would complain about the flight if it was a win, but I'm sure every minute felt like an hour on that flight too.
Yes.
But as usual, and I always say this when I do that podcast, that the next day I'll be more rational. Bear with me for this one, folks.
That's fair.
And I think that's just human nature. I address it. I admit it. And they did do some good things. I mean, the reality to me was, all right, let's go through some things. I mean, like, Eccles had a tough day against McConkey.
Yeah.
But that play that kind of broke your back, his coverage was impeccable, and it's an A++ throw. Okay,
And McConkey even got a little fortunate. He kind of bobbled it for half a second, and it stayed right in his breadbasket.
He made the better play,
That's the game of inches, right?
And this was not a game of inches. This was a game of many yards difference between two teams on a given night.
Snap counts and time of possession.
Time possession is such a problem. I mean, the doctor's going to, every time we go to the doctor with our time possession stuff, I mean, he's going to be like, it's not getting any better, man.
It's easy to diagnose at this point.
Right. Well, now it's the offense's fault. It used to be the defense's fault. True. Now it's the offense's fault. So whack-a-mole.
Didn't convert a third down until the last 5 minutes of the game.
It didn't matter at all. Yeah. Right. It didn't matter at all.
That, to me, is maybe – in a game full of glaring and damning stats, that might be at the top of the list, that you didn't convert a third down until 55 minutes into the game.
Yeah. So where I was going with this was, okay, no unit played great. Boz missed a field goal.
Yeah,
they muffed a punt.
We all kind of in the booth when that happened looked at each other and we're like, that's a vibe shifter. It's still so early in the game, and it's obviously not Boz's fault, and he's allowed to have misses from time to time.
He's not going to be perfect every year.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Even Tiger Woods shanked some shots from time to time.
Sure.
But that one felt like man, maybe it's not going to be our night.
Yeah, right. I mean, even like Pursuit and I were talking about the opening kickoff. It's like they drill it out of bounds. You get it to 40. Like, let's go.
That's a great point.
Andres Pete jumps off sides. He hasn't played for a while. Super excited. It's like, oh, okay. That just killed a little bit of that mojo right off the bat.
Yeah.
But where I was going with the big picture stuff was Boz misses a field goal. You muff a punt. I think those guys are good at their job, especially Boz. The defense, I thought, played quite well, but there were holes. There were some big Vidal holes, and that's going to happen the longer you're out there. Eccles, I don't want to say he had bad luck. That's too kind. He got outplayed by McConkey.
Just didn't have his best day.
No, he got picked on. I would have liked to see more Warren. I mean, there's nitpicking stuff, but the reality is the Steeler passing game was horrendous. And that's why they lost. I mean, and frankly, Rodgers is the biggest culprit for that. He's not alone. I mean, the lack of a second receiver, I think, is pretty glaring. Early protection issues. Rodgers not playing his best game. Metcalf's been a little hit and miss. We can blame things, but Steeler passing game was the anchor here.
Yes, I think that's kind of a fair opening assessment by you here on a Monday. And you know what, too? It just, after that first drive where they were off, okay, And then second drive, you got pressure on the Chargers punter, forced a not-so-great punt, and got it at the plus territory at like the 45-yard line.
What more do you want?
You got 5 yards and had to settle for a 59-yard. You started with the ball in Chargers territory and still had to kick a 59-yard field goal.
Yeah.
I mean, from those first 2 drives and then the safety, which was just bad all around, bad on pass pro, bad on Aaron, bad on everybody involved.
Yes, it was a horrible play.
The offense just after that, I don't even want to say that like they looked shook, they looked rattled. They just never found any momentum. They never found any level footing. Matt, it kind of looked like the first couple of days of training camp back in July when the offense just they were obviously at that point a completely new unit with a new quarterback and new DK Metcalf and Jonnu Smith and all these important pieces. But you and I remember like those first 3 or 4 days of training camp were rough for the offense until they started to push back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It was like those first few days of training camp. They couldn't even find level footing. They couldn't get a first down. They couldn't do anything well other than Jaylen Warren making an occasional guy miss and turning a 4-yard run into an 8-yard run.
Yeah. I think you're 100% dead on. And as you're sitting there talking about it, I'm sitting there thinking like back in the day when battles were fought, like you go to that side and we go to this side and we're going to shoot each other until we get in the middle and then we'll stab each other like crazy, you know?
like in the Patriot?
Right, yeah. Or even like, Braveheart back in the day, you know? But it felt like...
Where are you going? I'm going to pick a fight.
Exactly. But it feels like your general got whacked way too early. And by that, I mean Rodgers. You know, I mean, like, I bet I wasn't there. I have great, immense respect for Aaron Rodgers. And I'm sure he doesn't think that was his best performance. It wasn't.
No,
it's the worst he's played in a very long time.
Absolutely.
At any level. But I bet that they felt that in the huddle. I bet that he felt that he wasn't his best. I mean, and everyone points to that guy. You know, I'm sure Ben had those days. Brady's had those days. You know, I mean, it's just, you know who your leader is.
Absolutely. But the one thing I will say, though, is that when Ben had a bad day, you still had Jerome Bettis and Hines Ward and Heath Miller.
Yeah,
when Ben had a bad day, you
point.
Still had AB and Lev Bell and Juju and Martavis Bryant. And when Aaron has a bad day, again, other than Jaylen Warren making lemonade out of lemons, you don't have much to hang your hat on.
No, you sure didn't last night.
And when Jaylen Warren's the only one who's kind of able to, make chicken salad out of chicken scratch, that's not a good place to be. You and I both love Jaylen Warren, but when he's your guy, when he's your guy on offense, when he's your best player on offense, that's not a great sign overall. And
I don't think you're saying this either. Like, I don't think their offensive players are crappy or the worst in the league. Or, I mean, Fautanu, Frazier, tight end room, Metcalf, etc. But who's the elevator and who do you look for when Ben doesn't have his fastball? Well, we'll give it to Jerome, or we'll just run
give it
behind.
To Lev Bell. Or,
we'll run behind Fanica and, we'll be okay.
Throw a 4-yard slant to AB and he'll find a way to turn it into a 40-yard slant.
Or I'm not having my best day, but they still fear all the guys around me more. So I got time to get my footing and those type of things too. And just like you said, I adore Warren. I've been begging for him to get more touches since he's been a Steeler.
He's one of the more underrated players in the NFL.
Yes. But you don't want to be your best guy.
Correct.
I mean, it's kind of like, I don't want Boz to be the MVP
I was just gonna say,
you know what I mean? Right.
Hey, everybody on YouTube, same church, different pew of the Chris Boswell conversation. I'm sorry, I had to.
I mean, Warren's never going to be last year's Saquon Barkley or Bijan.
Jonathan
Taylor.
What I mean?
Right. I mean, he's a really good player. I love him. But if that's all you have to hang your hat on, you're not going to beat the Chargers. You might beat the Browns.
Particularly when you're -3 in the turnover department.
Of course.
And I think you're right. I certainly think the Steelers' defense held up for long enough. But
they're on the field all the time.
TJ Watt talked about it after the game, too. That's something that they won't publicly state, because then that makes it seem like you're throwing your offense under the bus.
Right.
But TJ Watt saying after the game, like, we can't be just relying on turnovers. We can't be a defense that sinks or swims with turnovers. We saw that play out last night, too.
Yeah, but I thought down to down they were better, though. I mean, because a lot of the year it was just like, giving away completions like Halloween candy, or they're getting gashed in the run game, and
Herbert
they can't get off the field.
didn't take the game over. He
No.
played well, but
he
wasn't playing at an all-pro level, just dicing you up. There's nothing we can do about it.
It wasn't the Jamar Chase situation.
Correct.
You know what I mean? It
Correct.
if you guys could get some first downs on offense, we can hang on this side of the ball.
Yes.
And those Vidal runs, and they didn't destroy you, but there was 8 or 9 of them where the hole was
His
pretty
longest
big.
run of the day was 12 yards.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not like he busted a 30 or 40-yard back-breaking, terrible moment run.
But if it was a Marion Hampton, maybe he would have. You know what I mean? Like, he's also not the best back in the league either. You know?
Good point.
But still, I mean, I wasn't thrilled about the holes he was running through. There were some big ones. But that's just from being on the field a lot. I mean, there's a lot of good individual defensive performances. If you just watch Cam, Benton, Black, all 3 edge dudes, Pierre, the safeties, a lot of guys played a good game on that side of the ball. I mean, a good game, not just like a not too bad game, you know?
I completely agree. Liked what we saw from our guy Kyle Duggar as well, too.
Yeah,
again. But yeah, is it 19 more offensive snaps that the Chargers ran? Is that correct?
That sounds about right.
I looked at the stat pack on the plane before I got 90 minutes of sleep.
Okay.
They haven't outsnapped an opponent all season, right?
All season.
And I think they've only won time of possession once.
Right. It's only get worse if you don't remedy that.
Especially when you have a veteran-laden defense.
That's the thing. I mean, it's a terrible.
Most of your best players on defense are on the other side of 30.
Yeah.
And those
of
extra
all the categories to be bad in, that's going to be one of the worst for this.
Those extra 15, 20 snaps a game. Yeah. Now 2 months into the season.
Right.
That's 200 extra snaps potentially.
Right. That's 3 more games.
Yeah.
You ask them to play. Instead of a 17-game schedule, you play a 20-game schedule.
Right.
What do you think's going to happen? I mean, injuries and missed tackles, and it's a hard game. One snap's hard to play.
Totally.
One snap is hard to play.
I'm with you. Every snap's a car crash, man.
Right,
You're getting into 15 to 20 more car crashes a game over the course of a couple months. That adds up again, especially when you're a veteran defense by nature.
30-plus-year-olds. Yeah, right.
Pretty simple question for you.
Okay.
Follows up on what we've been spending a lot of the first 40 minutes or so of the show talking about here. Be Dr. Williamson for me here for a minute, okay? And the Steelers offense comes into your practice.
Yeah.
And they sit down and they go, we got this time of possession issue. We got this snap issue. Our opponents are running 10, 15 more offensive plays than us per game, sometimes 20. We were just out in L.A., Doctor, and the other offense possessed the ball for over 15 minutes more than we did.
Right. And this is getting to be common.
We've diagnosed it. How do we start to fix it? What's the remedy, Doctor?
Just on the offensive side of the ball? Because, I mean, over the course of the year, this is a team problem.
Fair.
And it always is. I mean, for much of the year, I would have blamed the defense more than I would have blamed the offense.
I think particularly like the month of September.
Right.
Up through
these
Dublin.
last 2 weeks, the offense has really trended poorly. And I know they beat the Colts, and that got kind of swept under the rug on, Victory Monday 1 week ago. But the offense was not humming by any means.
They got set up by the defense with a lot of short fields.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is a something that's been coming around for a while now. I have more if you would have asked me that question a month ago and said fix the defense to get them off the field, I have more answers.
Giving up too many third down conversions.
Yeah, I mean, play more zone, blitz less. Some of the things they actually went
inconsistent
and did.
in the run game, defense game.
Maybe rotate more dudes in. I mean, I have fewer answers for the offense though, because one thing I think that needs to happen that could actually hurt this conversation is I think they have to push the ball down the field a little bit more. Now, if it was last year, I might be like, we don't need all the Russ Moon balls. How about more of a short, controlled passing game to
How about some 5, 6, 7 yard completions on first down?
To play off our running game and eat clock that way. And I don't think it's a 1-for-1 of the short passing game is an extension of the run game. It's not. I mean, I forget. I think I was with Tom doing the pregame show. That he hates that too. That just throw a lot of short passes. That's the same as running the ball. No, it's not.
No,
offensive
it's nice
linemen
when you can do
moving
both.
Right. I mean,
run
offensive
the ball
linemen
and complete those short passes.
Offensive linemen are going backwards in the passing. They're not coming off the ball and blasting dudes and wearing them down. Those are body blows. Yes, it helps your time in possession. Get the ball in Fryer moves hand on a tight end screen, and he doesn't go out of bounds. It eats too much time. Yep. Sure, okay. I mean,
but 5, 6 yards on first down.
But it doesn't bludgeon the opponent like Jerome Bettis behind a fullback and Thermani Dawson, and the big time.
Jonathan Taylor just demoralizing the Falcons over in Berlin for 3.5 hours.
So I don't have a wonderful answer because I definitely think playing with a lot of tight ends on the field, playing with the extra offensive linemen, all those things are moving the right direction. Less zone runs, more power and man blocking schemes. All that stuff's trending the right direction. And I'm not just blaming Rodgers, but I am kind of on a little bit of a soapbox in terms of run-pass ratio that I bet Rodgers is checking to a pass a lot. He's so smart. I do not want to neuter him in any way.
He's had a ton of success doing that for 20 years.
For a million years.
Yeah.
And again, I feel like I'm picking on him when he's down, and that's not what I mean at all. But when the second half of the Packers game, Warren only gets 3 carries, there's probably some 50-50 situations where Rodgers decides to pass rather than run. Maybe you just have a heart to heart. Him and Arthur go in a room and say, let's just lean more run.
Yeah. You got to, especially situationally, we're up 9 points out of the halftime with the football.
Right,
If it's 50-50, run the ball.
Yeah, and I know this look isn't as great for the run or, if it's 51-49,
Sure.
and
it's okay. Jalen Warren will make somebody miss.
Yeah, let's, when in doubt, I don't mean to, neuter you at all, Aaron, but when in doubt, maybe we run the football 3% more, 5% more, something like that. And I blame Rodgers or mention him more than I do Arthur Smith, really for one reason. Both these guys have been doing their job for a long time, and running the ball less has never been a problem for Arthur Smith. Or running the ball the other way around. One guy's history is run. One guy's history is come to life.
Throw.
Right. So I'm not behind the scenes. I'm not in those offensive meetings.
Sure.
But I bet when the play comes in and then when it's distributed to the other 10 at the line of scrimmage, it might be a little pass happier than it should be. But I'm reaching. I mean, the offense to me doesn't have a quick fix. And that doesn't mean it can't get better because it has been better. I mean, they run the ball okay. I mean, I don't think they have terrible players on that side of the ball. You're not going to trade. I mean, I could go trade for a wide receiver. Well, that's not part of the answer,
sailed.
Right? Yeah.
No, you're working with what you got at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You're the.
And I'll think about it more this week. Monday questions and when.
Sure.
When we get to Wednesday, Thursday,
I'm gonna go home and rewatch the game tonight.
Yeah, me too. Right.
Put the kids down, rewatch the game, and then flip the Monday Night Football. But yeah, it's kind of like I'm not a big Matt. Like I watch sports and occasional good TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not someone who watches a million different things on TV.
Okay.
So I hope this analogy lands. In cooking shows, there's a bazillion different cooking shows, but some of them, the premise is you get 4 or 5 chefs, and it's bang, here's the 3 ingredients you have, make dinner. And you have 20 minutes to do it.
Yeah.
They don't know what the ingredients are going to be here's the ingredients.
They don't get the game print. They don't get to practice all week.
Right. They can't run to the fridge and get more chicken breast or get peppers or mushrooms or whatever kind of.
Practice the 6-0 line sets all week to use against the Chargers.
You right now on offense, here's your ingredients. That's what you got. Mm-hmm. There's no walk-in cooler where you can go get more at this point.
Right. That's true. If anything, we're going to take ingredients from you as the year goes on.
Totally.
Right,
and that's the scary part to think about it. If you get a couple guys banged up, and that's the challenge to me right now because you have talent on that offense, absolutely. But it's also not the killer bee era of where your Jimmies are so much better than so many of the opposition's Joes.
Yeah, right.
You got Ben and Bell and AB and a great offensive
line.
Martavis
and Juju are your 4th and 5th pass catchers, and Heath Miller. I'm those are the guys down the line.
Correct.
That's not bad.
Correct.
All right.
And so to me now, it has to get back to doing what you've done best when your ingredients have, yielded the best meal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been running the football with Jalen Warren. That's been getting your tight ends active. I think particularly Darnell Washington.
Yeah.
And they got to find a way to put DK Metcalf in a better position to succeed, I think, as well, too. I think there's been a little too much, and this is probably recent history just over the last couple weeks, because DK Metcalf did have some monster performances this season, no doubt. But I think they're square peg and round holing with him a little too much. little too much 50-50 contested balls, a little too much back
He's not
shoulder
good at those.
back shoulder stuff. That's
Just
not
because he's big
that's
doesn't mean he
not
goes
his-
up and plucks
that
it like
fourth down
Larry or
back shoulder
George.
pass last night. That's not his strength.
That's how he does well. He runs past people. He runs over people. He does a lot of things really, really well. But just because he's big doesn't mean that he high points footballs like he's George Pickens or Larry
Correct.
Fitzgerald. You know what I mean? It
Correct.
doesn't do that.
If I've got salmon, Matt, I can't try and prepare it like it's a pork shoulder.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So as you were saying that, I bet if Wolf or Merrill Hodge was sitting right here, and frankly, if Chuck Noll was sitting right here,
Sure.
and I know this is not 1978 anymore, 1985, but those guys would always say, which is just directly from Noll, being coached by Chuck Noll, is when things were going wrong on offense, we would get back to our 2 or 3 best run plays.
Yeah.
It's just, instead of looking at the Cheesecake Factory menu, we're going to make the steak that we made for a million years that we're good at, and we're going to start
Steak,
from
potatoes,
there.
green beans.
We're going to start from there. It doesn't mean that's all we're going to run, but we're going to start with our best run play and go from there. And
Yep.
then we'll start building again, you know?
Yep. I
And
think
I
there's
understand
a lot.
that logic.
I think there's a lot of merit to that. And
Yeah,
then you
yeah.
build off of that, getting your tight ends involved off of play action and things like that.
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
build off of that.
And you have one more layer and one more layer. But let's get, what is our thing that we do the best in the ground game on offense?
Ribeye,
Start there.
baked potato,
Yeah.
green beans.
Yeah, maybe it's lasagna and whatever it is, whatever you're best at. It doesn't have to be, you know, and that's a Nollism, you know.
By the way, food at SoFi, outstanding.
You took a picture of like the candy situation.
That was
which-
just the candy situation.
Yeah, which was pretty strong.
Boxes and boxes of Nerds gummy clusters, of course. That's why I had to send you guys the pictures. But all the candy in the world that you could imagine. The food was outstanding. It was like steak and meatloaf and potatoes and green beans.
Are they the best host in the league?
Yeah, for
when
sure.
you talk about the venue, the house they invite you to, the dinner they give you,
For sure.
Yeah.
And there's some good ones.
The wine they pour.
You know I love
yeah.
it. You know I love Atlanta.
Yeah.
Atlanta serves this flank steak with chimichurri sauce for every game, and it is maybe the best single menu item that I've had
okay.
around the league. Wings in Buffalo are good. Crab cakes in Baltimore are good. But SoFi just, from the house that they invite, it's a good way to put it, from the house that they invite you to, from the food that they serve you, halftime as well, too. It's like chicken and cheeseburger sliders.
Nice.
With like 7 different kinds of French fries, whatever French fry you could imagine, wedges, curly fries, tater tots. They got it all.
I mean, I know it's true here, but the halftime stuff's usually a little more lunch,
Yes.
basic,
Yes.
a little bit cheaper. I mean, it's not.
And then after
it's
the
not
game,
a carving station.
after the game, In-N-Out burger food truck, too.
Wow.
So, like, they're making the burgers right off the food truck, and it's not like they've been sitting in a box for like an
yeah,
hour.
here's
like,
not the box lunch.
they got the food truck, and they're like, whoop, whoop, you want the animal sauce on that? Here you go.
Okay.
That was
hungry.
That was
sounds so good.
much needed getting on the plane.
So it's not
That
a
was
box
that
with
was
like a burger with next to an apple and a thing of chips.
Yeah, and the
like,
cheese has been melted
everybody's
into the
got to say
plastic
it.
for 2 hours
right.
while it's sitting there all soggy. No, it was
We cooked
delicious.
This one just for you, Wesley, and throw it right at you. Right.
Here you
That's
go.
awesome.
Now go away, or I will taunt you a second time. French fries are not, and I bet you we'll get a bunch of tweets about this because In-N-Out splits a crowd. French fries are not the best there, but man, they're burgers.
I don't know it well.
Have you ever had it before or no?
Did we go in Indy?
No, it's not an Indy.
No, that's
It's
White
like-
Castle.
Yes, it's like
I've never
it's
been
like
there, though.
Vegas and California and Arizona.
I've definitely not been. I've heard of tons about it, but okay, yeah.
Fries are like a 3 out of 10, not very good. I don't know why. I think they do them in like a healthier oil or something, you know, West
good
West
for
Coast,
you, yeah.
something goofy West Coast style. But their burgers are delicious. And so I would highly recommend, you know, Steelers are out there every couple years. I was texting my buddies, Matt, like, we should go to a World Cup game out here next year. Like, let's you know, next year when the World Cup's in the United States this coming summer, like, let's fly out to California for 3 or 4 days, go to a World Cup game at SoFi. That would be amazing. Definitely worth the trip. And like I said, it was kind of a harsh reality of, you know, you leave 70-some degree weather, sunny palm trees, and you land and like I'm slowing down on 79 because it's snowing at 7 a.m. and rush hour traffic's hitting, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man! Just let me get home.
Yeah, winter is coming.
Winter is coming.
Yeah, and the dead are coming over the ice wall here pretty soon if you don't nip it in the bud. Yeah.
Good Lord. And they're wearing Bengal uniforms and dressed in orange and coming to the North Shore in just a few days. Matt, where we start as always, Mike Tomlin, his weekly Tuesday press conference. And obviously, there's a weekly ebb and flow to his press conference. He talks about the previous game, updates on any injuries, and then previews the upcoming game
opponent,
for the Steelers. Right. And he highlighted 3 areas that he felt were key in the Steelers' loss to the Chargers, Matt.
Okay.
The first, repeated failure on offense on third downs, coupled with a lack of splash to overcome it.
So Tuesday morning is Matt's stats.
Yes, it is.
The bulk of it. I would say 60% of it happens between when I wake up and from when in the morning. And then I'll do a bunch tonight too. But over the last 3 games, they are miserable on third downs if you combine the 3 games. I mean, it's really, really poor. I mean, it's like it's 14% or something like that. And accentuated by this past week, obviously. Sure. Right. I mean, I'm gonna go back to time possession over and over and over and over, and that's just one more, cause of the symptoms. You know what I mean?
It absolutely is,
no doubt.
9 games in now. Like I was talking about this with Jerry Dulac when we were doing the Tomlin recap show, the press conference recap show. 9 games in now, like these are even more than trends.
Oh, yeah, these are what you are.
It is what you are,
right.
And you are a team that has been out-snapped in all 9 games. You are a team that has been out-possessed in 8 of 9 games.
Yeah.
That is the boogeyman in the room right now.
Like if you're the Bengals, this isn't who you are. There's the Burrow era.
Sure.
There's the Browning era. There's the Flacco era. Like last year I broke the Steelers season into 3 eras after I was done. There was Justin Fields, Good Russ,
and bad
Russ. And it was real distinct. And like EPA was drastically different on all those lines. Steelers are, though, this is who you are.
Yes.
I mean, this is who you are. I mean, of course you get better and worse, but this is who you are. These are not just like, oh, that was kind of a flash in the pan, or boy, you ran into one good defense, or, this is what you are.
Absolutely. Second thing was losing the time of possession battle, creating limited chances for Jaylen Warren, and the defense wearing down over the course of the game. This is Matt once again going to the doctor and rattling off all your symptoms.
Yeah.
And it's all related to the same root cause.
Can you tell me those again? The Warren one?
Creating limited so losing the time of possession battle that created limited chances for Jaylen Warren and also wore the defense down over the course of the game.
Yeah, no question. Again, so much of it can just be umbrellaed with time of possession. That is, to me, is the huge thing. But these are the next step down of why you're losing time of possession. So let's start with Warren. Tim Benz texted me this morning and asked, some of these people think I know every answer to every question. He's like, is it true that Jaylen Warren didn't play
You're
one?
You're the oracle of football here in Western Pennsylvania.
It's Tuesday morning. I'm doing Matt's stats. Leave me alone. But he asked, is it true that Jaylen Warren didn't play one snap on third down? And I think he's correct. I think I saw that yesterday, and I didn't jot it down. But when he said it, it triggered. I'm like, I think I read that and meant to come back to it and didn't. But so I couldn't 100% verify it for him, and I was looking around and I was busy doing other stuff. But I'm not cool with that. I mean, I know Gainwell outsnapped him in the game, and they got into third down, hurry-up mode quicker than I would have, or away from Warren in any way, shape, or form.
Sure.
I can't even write a scenario why Gainwell should have more snaps than Warren if everybody's healthy.
Yes.
Because it's not like he's a bad third down back either.
No,
I mean,
right.
He's
the only scenario that should happen is when you were in Dublin and you had no Jaylen Warren.
Of course, right. Then you hand it to the guy, to the number 2. But another thing I dug up this morning too: yards per route run. I mean, obviously just a receiving stat. Warren's third amongst all running backs in the league, and every year he's top 5.
He's
phenomenal.
He's so good out of the backfield.
So let's not forget that he's an awesome receiver and better in protection. So even if you do get into hurry up, third down, throw mode, I'm fine mixing in Gainwell then, but not outsnapping Warren.
Agreed. Gainwell should have a role in that regard because he's good there too.
Exactly. That's all he can. That's all he does.
But Jaylen Warren
not one or the other
in that area.
Right. Now, if some of that is the game is out of reach, we want to save Warren.
Sure.
That's garbage time's different.
Sure.
That's totally different. But him not playing on third downs or him not getting enough in the passing game worries me. And the other thing is, another thing I just dug up this morning, over the last 3 games, the Steelers are at the top of the league I'm not sure where exactly they rank, but it's about 2/3 of their snaps are passes.
That's a lot.
They're 10th, and so Cincinnati's number 1 in terms of run-pass ratio, and it's
Makes
by
sense.
a bunch.
Makes sense.
And then it's some bad teams like the Titans that are always losing.
Yep.
You know, but the Steelers are 10th. That's not how they want to play. That's for the season. And then the football database site that I go to also says your last 3. So they're also like 10% higher over your last 3 than being 10th on the season in terms of passing the most, not running the most.
Which, again, is especially bizarre when you consider the first of those third games was the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Where they had 81 rush yards after 30 minutes. 81 yards at the half.
Right.
On the ground.
That's a great point. Right. And then the second half, you just didn't.
Just 3 carries in the second half.
Right. So, again, all of this is under the time of possession umbrella. But if you throw like crazy, you're going to have bad time of possession. Oh, by the way, the Bengals are terrible in time of possession.
Sure.
I think they're the only team worse off the top of my head. Because they throw like crazy and their defense is terrible, you know. So there are ways to help. I mean, better on third downs. You know, maybe Warren should be out there more than Gainwell in every game, of course. Less passing.
I thought
the running game was getting better.
More on that. I want to expand on that at the bottom of the hour when we do our Tuesday Rewind. Because
yes, I have some stuff on that too.
Yes, I want to get more into that.
I want to dig more into what Tomlin said.
Correct. But bookmark that one for about 20, 30 minutes from now. We'll
talk about it all week. It's really relevant against the Bengals.
Third thing from Mike Tomlin was just quite simply, I'm sure everyone agrees with this one, expected this one. When you lose a turnover battle 3-0, you're not putting yourself in a position to succeed.
I mean, history is really obvious with the Steelers and turnover battles.
Absolutely, especially recent history.
Yeah.
Also said that, he did appreciate another stable performance from Jalen Ramsey and Kyle Duggar. Sounds like Jalen Ramsey's going to stay there. And again, I don't know if they have a ton of options at this point in that regard, Matt, because they're so banged up now at cornerback.
I say, what's the corner situation?
And with that, here's what we were updated on with injuries. Cole Holcomb and Jabril Peppers limited to start the week, but it does sound like Cole Holcomb will finally be back in the mix after dealing with that illness.
This could be rewind stuff too, but I'm about done with Harrison. That was a cute 4-3 package and all that, but he doesn't run well.
It's funny you mentioned that. All right, teaser. My 2 Tuesday Rewind observations were centered around the run game and Peyton Wilson.
Really? Okay.
We'll get there in about 20, 30.
Good.
We'll get there in about 20, 30 minutes. Optimistic about Isaac Seumalo being able to return this week, which is massive. That's probably the most important of all of these.
Right.
Scotty Miller finally cleared to practice with that broken finger. So after missing 2 weeks of practice, he'll return to practice this week. Darius Slay still in the concussion protocol.
Yeah, Slay was the one I was worried about.
So sounds like good news for Isaac Seumalo, optimistic news for Seumalo. Maybe not so great with Slay.
In today's NFL, rarely are you back anymore the week after a concussion. It's just the percentages are way down than they were 5-10 years ago, even 2-3 years ago. So,
which is probably a good thing. On the whole.
Right. I'm sure you can still clear concussion protocol in a week, but it happens for whatever reason much less now than it used to.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And I think there's rhyme to that reason. It's something that we're more in tune to and noticing. But yeah, certainly something to keep an eye on. That's kind of the latest injury update there.
Small note, and this will also be a Tuesday rewind type of thing too. Just I don't want to forget. 2 games in a row now that Pierre got thrown in the action, and I thought he played well.
Tomlin talked about that as well.
Did he?
Said
okay.
that they were. I
never get to do Tomlin's press conference before we sit down, so
yes.
I learned with everybody else.
I think that there's some quiet confidence that he's going to be all right amongst that group.
That's interesting. Yeah.
He also mentioned they have released Juan Thornhill and brought back undrafted free agent Sebastian Castro, who we saw out in
the
Latrobe.
Bucs grabbed him. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I like bringing him back into the fold. I don't know how much he's going to offer you down the stretch this season, but he was one of those guys that we talked about. Like, I hope he's in camp next year.
Yeah,
like
exactly,
a JJ Galbraith. Some of these guys that we had talked about probably not going to make the roster, but I hope he's back in camp with the team next year.
Even when they signed him, he was the priority free agent we knew the best.
Yes.
Like I was like, I thought he'd go in the 5th or 6th round.
Yes.
And he didn't.
Good special teams background.
That's what I was going to say is Thornhill doesn't bring much on special teams. That move screams special teams to me.
Yes.
And it also screams that Ramsey, now I'm just thinking about it, Ramsey's probably not moving for free safety anytime soon because every other safety they have is a strong. Peppers, Duggar, Clark. Nobody else can play deep middle. Thornhill was the only other one.
Like we said a couple weeks ago, you got a lot of left shoes, but not a right shoe.
Yeah.
Only
one.
A lot of right gloves, but you need some more left gloves. And so, I think that's almost by necessity at this point as well.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Of course, it is time for our Tuesday Rewind. It's a simple concept. Monday nights, Matt and I go back and rewatch the Steelers' previous game. We share additional observations and thoughts that we didn't get to on kind of Mondays. Just download instant reaction. Show
need some things to simmer and marinate a little bit too.
Exactly right. Speaking of simmer and marinating, I made some excellent corn chowder last night, Matt.
Oh, yum.
Yeah, a little bacon,
nice.
Little cheddar cheese. It's soup season. You a soup guy?
Oh, big soup guy.
Big
Super Steeler soup.
Can I tell you that I still have? It was from Sports Illustrated for Kids. You remember Sports Illustrated for Kids?
Yeah.
That was like my jam when I was
I think it came out after I was really a kid or would care, but I would have loved it. Yeah.
Like that was like my grandparents. That was part of my Christmas gift every year. Is they renew my subscription to Sports Illustrated for Kids. John Elway's hamburger soup is in there.
Wow.
It's delightful. I still have it in our little recipe book. It's so good. I'm going to have to make that at some point before the season is over. But yeah, it is soup season, and I'm excited about that. But it is Tuesday Rewind here today. Matt, we each have a couple that we want to get to. Do you want to
start what?
Do you want to jump into because we've kind of teased it a little bit. You want to jump into the Peyton Wilson and the Malik Harrison and
yeah.
My observation was just they were taking Peyton Wilson off the field too much.
I think that's true,
I think he's been one of the brighter spots of the defense this season. And I understand it worked in a way against the Colts. Don't get me wrong. But I don't 60% of the snaps, whatever it was that he was on the field, I want Peyton Wilson closer to 90% of the snaps on the field. Yes. I don't want him on the sideline that often.
So I agree. Now I'm going to counter it a little. I'm sure their logic is he's just not a big-time take-on run defender, old school, LaVon Kirkland.
Harbaugh-style football,
Right. He's a run-and-hit guy more than a take-on old-school dude. However, that's what the whole position is around the league now. And I understand stopping the run's important. And he's not a bad run defender. He just defends it differently than Harrison or whomever, which obviously he's not going to come down.
Different body type.
Right.
Yeah.
He's got a strange body type, to be honest with you. He's got a high waist. He's got short arms. He's 6'3" or 6'4" or whatever. Doesn't look like most linebackers.
No, he doesn't.
Now, I only think of this, so pull back the curtain, and I do Matt's stats. The special teams bullets are the hardest ones to come up with because there's not that much to talk about new week to week in the special teams world. And usually I have like two.
Boz finally missed one.
Right. And I usually have like 2 or 3 or maybe 4 bullet points, depending if I can find something interesting. Sometimes only one. But when I'm struggling, and I couldn't come up with much for the Bengals, I go back every periodically and I just go, these are the Steelers special teams snap leaders.
Okay.
He's near the top. People don't think about that.
That's a good point.
But it takes a lot out of your body. I mean, those are big collisions.
And a lot of sprint. You're running 40, 50, 60 yards downfield.
So if you just covered a punt or a kickoff, do you really want to cover Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield the next play? Yeah, right. So I wonder if that's a factor. I also think that this is just a hunch, but I do think since the Killebrew injury and this Castro move and Sermon and these guys being elevated, I think they're trying to figure out their special team snaps a little bit more.
Totally.
So maybe they'll take some away from Wilson because
that would make sense,
you're playing
actually.
Defense.
That's a good thought process by you.
I'm just wondering if that's in the mix because, that's the kind of stuff people don't think about, but organizations do. So, yeah, I'm on board with that. I think he's one of their best 11 defensive players, clearly, if not their top 6 or 7, right.
Yeah, I think he might even be in the top half of that best 11.
I would even be open to making him the green dot, never leave the field player. And I think Queen gets too much of a bum rap around here for whatever reason. Because they signed him from outside the organization. People are hard on him.
Big free agent
it's their
deal.
money. Like it's their money.
Yeah.
But I would be open to the idea of Wilson also being the green dot, never leave the field guy, and Queen plays 75% of the snaps.
Yeah.
That could happen next year or soon. I don't know.
I certainly think it's a possibility. I think he's been one of the bright spots on that defense this season.
Yeah.
But your special teams point is well taken. He can't play every defensive snap and
and then run down a bunch of kickoffs and
a handful of special team snaps. You do have to give him some blow in some type of way. You want to stick on the defensive side? You mentioned you had some James Pierre thoughts.
Yeah, I don't know much else other than I think he's playing the best football of his career. And I'm glad that Tomlin mentioned it, that I'm not crazy, that watching this tape, it's better than it's ever been. I think they trust him more on defense more than they ever did. I don't think he's challenging Slay for a job, but I think they're closer than people think.
Yes.
I mean, when everybody's healthy,
a solid performance on Sunday might go a long way
right.
in that regard for Pierre, especially considering the competition he's going to have to go up against.
Yeah.
Spinning the block, offensive side of the football.
So,
unless there was anything else you wanted to highlight on
that
defense.
side I think is pretty safe because in a lot of it we've also touched on. Safety plays better, Pierre's better. Benton and company did a lot of damage to a really bad O-line. I think we know those things.
All right, offense. I've got one that kind of relates to the trenches and Jaylen Warren a little bit. I've got one that's more of a bigger picture observation. Where you want to go here? What do you want first?
Take it away.
All right, let's start with this one because this isn't something we didn't mention at all yesterday and haven't yet today. There are concerns with this offense. We've talked about them.
Yeah.
Protection, run game, time of possession, Aaron Rodgers' performance as of late, wide receiver performance, tight end performance as of late, all these things that we've discussed. One thing that we haven't talked about, red zone success for this offense is suddenly very fleeting.
It was great for early.
First half of the season, it was literally best in the National Football League.
Right.
And that's important for an offense that isn't getting down there a ton. They weren't getting there a lot, but when they were making hay.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're not getting there a lot, and they're not making any hay. That, to me, is a maybe you can even call it a secondary concern because a lot of these things work in tandem. When you're not running the ball successfully, when you're not getting good play from Aaron Rodgers, of course, you're not going to get to the red zone. You're going to struggle more when you do.
All this stuff goes hand in hand. That's what this sport's about. It's not like
a whole,
one hitter, like your eighth hitter is not hitting well.
Correct.
Right.
It's a whole ecosystem. Complementary football. All these things are in the same kind of sphere, in the same kind of ecosystem. But red zone success that felt like it was a real strength for this team for a while seems like it's going in the opposite direction, that it's like very fleeting over the last few weeks.
Yeah, it's a good one.
They're not getting there much, and when they do, they're not having success.
I mean, we often talk about, hidden yardage and turnovers and time of possessions and even like sack differential and explosive differential and stuff that we've talked about more and more. But sometimes you also got to be like Tomlin said, better on third downs. Better in red zone. I mean, those are two areas I look at every week in the stat pad. Who's good and bad on third downs and red zones?
Key indicator every week.
Yeah, this has been going on since I've known anything about football. You do that.
Right,
these are old school stats that are still very relevant. First off, an observation I have is I have a new respect, and I definitely underrated the Chargers front seven.
Yeah.
It's way better than I thought.
No doubt.
I thought Khalil Mack was playing hurt. Caldwell, the rookie nose tackle type, along with guys like Hand that no one's ever heard of, are pretty darn good players already. They throw that three package of three outside linebackers with Tui and Owe now, along with Mack on the field together. That's a pretty darn good group, especially against the pass.
Bud getting a handful of snaps.
Yeah, I mean, if that's your fourth dude,
it's a pretty good
that's
fourth
pretty
dude.
nice. That's pretty nice. And he's not the player he was when he left here, but he's still a high-quality depth piece for sure.
Absolutely.
That, throw him in there 10, 15 snaps a game. So I do want to give on these Tuesday sessions, if the opponent deserves more credit, you got to throw that stuff out there. And really, the best way, and we said this going in, I mean, their pass defense is great, their run defense is bad, which goes back to, why don't you run the ball more? Why you still at such a high percentage of pass? That makes less and less sense to me, seeing how the game went. A concern I have is it's Rodgers, but it's also the passing game, where they're very, very low in play action percentage still. And we know it's a lot of shotgun, but you can still run play action. And there's studies that it doesn't matter how well you run the ball, play action still.
Yes.
The play action's still the same.
Moats and I used to argue about that all the time.
I don't believe it. I mean, I think
He doesn't either, but I'm like, listen, the numbers are the numbers. There's lies, there's dang lies, and then there's statistics.
So I believe both of you, I guess. So side note, I believe when you use play action, it helps you no matter what, basically. And it's going to be a long
value in it regardless.
Yes, but I definitely think that Moats, a linebacker, would know the difference when Derrick Henry's running down your throat.
Totally.
I mean, no doubt about it.
As opposed to, Joe Blow, average running back.
Yeah. When Gainwell or Warren's getting 2 yards of carry, as opposed to when Henry's in his prime, just mashing you, and you got to tackle that dude every time. So I definitely think that some of those stats lie a little bit, but I definitely think it's also more beneficial to use. But they're at the bottom of the league now. There's only like 3 or 4 offenses using play action less. And where I'm going with this, though, is the route concepts with and without play action. I have no data to support this, but so many of the non-play action throws from Rodgers are predetermined at the line of scrimmage, which he's great at. But they're almost all boom. I mean, they're all the real quick stuff.
Out in 1.5 seconds.
Yes, and sideways stuff, or boom, just getting this guy's hands. And the play action stuff is the longer developing, go through my reads quarterback
pass
stuff.
protection needed.
Right. He's doing a lot of wonderful quarterback stuff before the snap, but not a lot after.
Yes.
And we opened the show of you are what you are at this point. Defenses now know this stuff 1,000%,
Absolutely. You can get away with it for a couple weeks, maybe in September.
Yeah.
But these defensive coordinators are millionaires too. And
like you mentioned, Bud. Bud is, he's an edge guy. He's 270 pounds. We've seen Bud Dupree. He's a big human being. He's dropping into throwing lanes in non-play action situations, knowing that the quick hitters are coming,
Yep. It was all right there on film.
Yeah.
And it worked out very well for the Chargers. Last one I've got, Matt, is just I will put my hand up and I will say, if it worked, we're singing the praises. If it doesn't, you're second guessing it. It's one of those things.
That's one of these coaching
life of the National Football League.
Yeah, right.
And I do give the Steelers credit for we slam, in particular, this coaching staff often. I'm going the general Steeler fan media big picture, not you and I, for being too static. Just do what you do and stick to it. Okay, don't be stubborn. Try something different. But hindsight is 2020. I didn't understand the revolving door at left guard. You start with Andres Pete at left guard. You bump Anderson out. You get a procedure penalty on Pete on the very first snap of the game before even anything had happened. It backs you up on your very first series. You go 3 and out. I think that was part of the issue with establishing the run. I understand.
Not to mention Pete's been inactive much of the year, too. It's not like, boy, this guy's so good that we have to get him on the field.
Exactly right. Again, if it would have worked out, we'd be sitting here these last 2 shows singing the praises, and they tried something different, and it worked, and the Chargers weren't ready for it. But it wasn't working, and they continued to try and shuffle around too many parts there. I just felt like part of the
O-line's
offense,
all about continuity, too.
all about continuity and rhythm. Right. And they just, with that revolving guard at left door, they never established any of it Sunday night. And it started right from Jump Street on the very first play of the game.
Okay.
If that ends up being a 12-yard run on the first play of the game,
rather than jumping off side,
we're singing a difference. I'm not naive enough to not admit that. But in hindsight, when you watch it on film, it looks pretty jumbled. It looks pretty confused. It looks like a lack of continuity.
So just like our Peyton Wilson conversation, I'm at least going to try to rebut it a little bit.
Absolutely.
First of all, you mentioned that first play of the game. Chargers kicked the ball out of bounds. You get the ball to 40. I'm like,
I know.
Oh, baby, let's roll.
This is at least going to be a field goal on this. Worst-case scenario, you pick up a first down or two, and you're in Ball's range.
And like almost nullifies that right off the bat. Yeah. Like, what are we doing here? They just gave you a gift. It had nothing to do with you. They blasted out of bounds. Start to 40. I mean, it's such an advantage nowadays.
You had 2 first downs, and you're in Ball's territory.
I'm with you on terms of the left guard situation. Now, what we didn't mention is if Siamalu doesn't play, I don't want Jumbo, corned beef, whatever, to go away, though.
Oh, absolutely. I want it to be more. I want it to be more prominent.
Yeah, it needs to be a staple, or it needs to be an every down. We're going to do it an every week thing, no matter what.
Yes, agreed.
I think we talked about this. Max Starks taught me this. I didn't realize that
The substitution rule.
the substitution rule. I'm not sure if we went into detail about it yesterday or not. I don't think we did, but I was on a lot of different outlets, and one of them I did, and I couldn't remember. So if you're a tackle eligible, like you have to, if you're
74 is reporting eligible.
Yeah, if you have to report eligible, you cannot stay in the game the next snap
at a different position
as a non-eligible.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
Anderson,
lineman turns,
he can't go from the extra offensive lineman right back into the starting left guard.
Correct.
On back-to-back snaps.
I didn't know that until yesterday,
for a play.
to be honest with you.
I didn't know that until like a week or two ago, Max told me.
Okay.
So
I don't think the announcers knew
thing.
it.
Yeah.
Right. But Max obviously would. So that's a little weird in itself. So there's a handful of snaps where Anderson's not on the field and Pete is, even though you'd prefer Anderson on the field because of what you did. Now, my other counter argument against you, but I do agree with you as a yes or no statement. I think Pete only played 10 snaps or 8 snaps. It was under 10.
It wasn't a lot.
It's not a ton, but still. So what's the answer, I guess, is the next question. If Siamalu can't play this week, what do you do for Jumbo?
I don't know, but I think I'm leaving.
Tell Pete to do that?
I think I'm leaving Anderson at guard.
Yeah.
I
kind of think I am too.
I don't want to. Again, it's all.
I don't like moving linemen.
You talk to the Tunches and the Wolves of the world, which you and I were privileged to do every day for a decade, and they tell you it's all about continuity. It's 5 fingers on a fist.
Yeah.
That's an offensive line, and I just, particularly for a unit that is so young and inexperienced.
Yeah,
you take Sayamalu out of that,
and he's the new piece. It's like, doesn't Anderson need to be there every down too, or
Broderick and Frazier have 20-some starts in their NFL careers. The rest of those guys are still very, very light in the wallet in that regard. I am willing to hand up. If it would have worked, we would have spent 10 minutes yesterday singing their praises. And they tried something different, and we accused them of being too static, and they got aggressive, and it paid off. But yeah, I want to see them continue to use that corned beef like you mentioned, but I don't want it. You got to find a way to do it without a revolving door at left guard.
So we've had this conversation with Chris Halicke and I think some of the other beat guys over the last 2 weeks, knowing that Siamalu's been dealing with stuff.
Sure.
And it's been thrown out there that you could do it that way, or Calvin Anderson can just be the 6th guy now.
Yeah.
Because I guess he's done a little bit of it. I don't think he's done a ton because he hasn't seen the field that much.
No, but he has played a lot of different positions throughout his career.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a versatile guy.
So maybe that's the answer. Or Pete, who's also played tackle. I mean, he came in the league as a first-round tackle. Maybe he's your 6th guy. You trusted him enough
to start him at left guard.
Yeah, and maybe we'll never have to talk about it again and see him all he plays. But
that would be the ideal
That's
scenario.
the ideal situation. So I just don't know what the answer is. But I'm with you. There's a reason that the largest human beings on a football field are the only ones that don't rotate out.
Yes, correct.
You would think they would get the most tired, but D tackles, D linemen are rotating in and out, but left guards and centers and right tackles aren't.
There's rhyme to that reason, Matt Williamson. Rolling along, and we go to the phone lines. Blah, blah, blah. Easy for me to say. We go to the phone lines now for catching up with our buddy Chris Halicke, of course, of DK Pittsburgh Sports. Plenty that we want to get into with you, Chris. Thank you for taking the time, as always, partner. Let's kind of start from the top. Asante Samuel Jr. added to the Steelers practice squad last night. Your thoughts on that move, and does it seem more like more of a chance he could start to be in the fold next week against Chicago, or do you think there is maybe even a chance he could get elevated to the active roster this week?
Well, I mean, we saw Kyle Duggar, come in, hit the ground running, and
that's a good point.
Obviously, he was, acquired and was immediately placed on the active roster. So, but Asante Samuel, he gets here. It's Wednesday. He's going to get a full week's worth of the game plan in terms of practice. First full week of practice, he'll be part of the game plan process. So I don't want to completely shut the door on it. Now he is a member of the practice squad, so what they have to do, and obviously that there would be roster hurdles to make. Not that it's anything completely out of the ordinary. They can elevate him. They don't have to necessarily sign him to the active roster right away. You're allowed to elevate, I think, up to 3 times. So, you can elevate him, see how things go, continue to evaluate. It's a very low risk move for the Steelers if he turns into anything close to the player that he was before. I mean, you look at those first 3 seasons, 6 interceptions, a lot of passes defense. He's a really physical guy, a guy who would, again, when we were talking about free agency way back in February and March, I mean, he was probably one of the top corners listed, on a lot of websites. And so, this is a player where, he had a significant surgery, but is it worth the risk of, especially when you're getting him on the practice squad pretty much for nothing? Absolutely, it's worth the risk.
I'm sure you did. I mean, you're thorough what you do, but it sounds like you did some work on him, before his injury. And I did as well. And if you get that guy, I think he's a starter here.
He could be. I mean, when you look at the Steelers' current situation, when you look at, Slay is in concussion protocol, and you look at James Pierre, who, to be fair to James Pierre, he's played well when he's been out.
I was going to bring him up to you. I've been impressed lately.
Yeah, he's been probably the best, most consistent play we've seen from him when he's actually played corner. We know that he's already an accomplished special teams player. But it's one thing to be good on special teams. It's another thing to be really good on defense, and he's been really, really solid. Now, could you aim higher there? If your goals are to try to win a Super Bowl, yes, you absolutely can aim higher there. And so if you think that Samuel, or it appears that Samuel can possibly be anything close to who he was before the injury, before he had to have the surgery, then you're talking about an outside corner duo of potentially, if Slay is out for any kind of length of time, because concussions are always unpredictable, Joey Porter Jr. and Asante Samuel Jr., that's a pretty good duo. Then you consider what you have right now at safety, which has currently been stabilized by, Kyle Duggar and moving Jalen Ramsey over there. So it's definitely interesting, and the one thing that this gives the secondary, no matter what, is just more depth, more flexibility, which when you consider the hits that they've taken, Deshaun Elliott, Lord knows how long he's going to be out. When you consider all the hits that they've taken, they need as many quality options as possible, and I think it's definitely interesting to see if Samuel is going to be somebody who either provides you some really good depth or really turns back into the guy that he was before, which would be an amazing development for the Steelers.
It's pretty remarkable, the secondary now from 365 days ago.
It really is.
I mean, it's like
it really is
80% different.
Yeah, and the thing is that I think when people see that, they appreciate the change. Maybe that they see that things were really bad, and they were really bad down the stretch. There was change needed. But I think sometimes people think that it's just like playing Madden and you can just swap guys out and you can just go out there and, call whatever coverage from your playbook and guys are just going to play it like they're, video game athletes. It's not the way it works. I mean, these guys have to learn, complex languages, really, from one defense to the next. So it's not as simple as just plug and play. There's a lot of nuance and complexities to all these different defenses and playbooks and systems. And so, it's going to be really interesting to see, how this continues to evolve with all the changes happening. But, it's pretty remarkable to see the changes happen.
Yeah, I mean, Deshaun Elliott and Joey Porter Jr. really the only holdovers, and one of those guys has been unavailable due to injury, unfortunately, most of the year. It certainly has come a long way in 365 days, or even less. Just, since really last February, March. Chris, sticking with some of this similar conversation, practice today, Broderick Jones not in uniform for practice today. Just something maintenance-wise, something rest-wise, or might there be some greater concern there?
It's kind of early to tell in the week right now. We'll have to see. We'll have to monitor it. When you consider the inconsistent performance, maybe it's just like, hey, take a day, or maybe he's dealing with something. So it's like, it's not worth, we can't afford to lose this guy. He needs to continue to play, needs to continue to develop. So, we'll see what happens. It's kind of early in the week to I haven't heard anything like, oh yeah, he's definitely not playing on Sunday. I haven't heard anything on that regard or anything, but I wouldn't start freaking out over it yet. But it's going to be interesting to see how fans react, because Broderick continuously probably gets the most criticism for of all the offensive linemen. But if he ends up not playing Sunday, I'm curious to see like if fans are going to be like, oh God, what's going to happen now? Left tackle. It's like, well, I thought you get one of the guy replaced. Well, here you go. He's not going to be playing. Yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But we'll see what happens. What happens? I think he's at least played enough where if he can get at least 1 day's worth of practice, I think he'd get clearance to play. But we'll have to see how much leeway he gets from Mike Tomlin.
So heck with 365 days ago with the secondary. The secondary is noticeably different from when they faced the Bengals last a couple of weeks ago. I mean, other than the people covering Chase and Higgins, do you see? Obviously, that didn't go so great. Do you see any? Is there any suggestions you would make? Less blitz, more zone, different personnel. I mean, they've made a lot of defensive changes since then.
They have. I mean, it's hard to say like what I would do, because if I was a defensive coordinator in the NFL, I'd be fired faster than I was hired.
Sure. All of us would, but right. Yeah.
Yeah. But I will say, obviously what they did last time did not work. Now that
right.
you're like, well, duh, Chris. But at the same time, you say that to be like, okay, well, whatever you did last time, you cannot do anything remotely close to it again. So yes, that means blitzing less often. Yes, that might mean more zone coverage. I don't think it should. I understand that like Zach Taylor's offense and Shane Steichen's offense are different from each other, but and Terrell was clear to point that out, because when he was talking about during that week leading up to, I think it was leading up to playing the Bengals and Joe Flacco, having seen them the year before when Flacco was playing under Steichen for the Colts, he was saying, he was asked like, can you look at that game to study Flacco? He was like, no, because it's two different offenses. Well, at the same time, there are some similarities to what they do, and what you did against the Colts works. Now, the Colts don't have the receiving threats that the Bengals have. Almost no team in the NFL does.
Right.
So what you have to try to figure out is what's the best way to put a ceiling on these guys. Now, it's not completely neutralizing them, but I think about like, okay, when they played the Vikings, Justin Jefferson had a good game. I mean, he had a lot of catches, he had a lot of yards, but did anybody watching that game ever think that Justin Jefferson was taking that game over?
Nope.
I don't think so.
No.
You look at his stats, you're like, wow, I'm kind of surprised he had that many catches for that many yards, but there was never that feeling that he was taking over the game. That's obviously not what happened in Cincinnati. Jamar Chase took the game over and pretty much won the game single-handedly. That's what you don't want to have happen. So what you have to do at that point is call whatever coverages you need to at least limit their impact, not allow them to take over the game, and then hope on the other side that your offense is able to at least repeat the performance that they had against that same Cincinnati defense. That's actually minus Logan Wilson now since he was traded to Dallas, and hope that they can perform just as good, if not better, so that you can at least try to outscore them if Chase and Higgins still have some pretty decent days.
Well, if you're going to have to outscore them, you're going to have to do a lot differently on offense than the Steelers did Sunday night at SoFi, that's for sure. And Chris, while there's a lot of moving parts there, I don't think I'm, breaking any news either to say that it starts with the quarterback. It starts with Aaron Rodgers. It seems like every week Matt and I have a ton of conversation about Aaron Rodgers. And the first month and a half or so of the season, it was all really positive conversation. The last few weeks, there's been some more concern in that conversation. Where you at on the Steelers signal caller after, he just admitted, I believe he called it a stinker when he met with the media, when he met with you guys today, after his latest performance or last couple performances haven't quite been the same strong start to the season we saw him have.
I haven't been as concerned about Aaron until this past week. Now, I'll go with the Mike Tomlin logic here and say, the whole two is a pattern thing, and I don't believe I'm at the two is a pattern yet. I don't think the performance against the Colts was that alarming of a performance, or any kind of performance, or any performance in any game I honestly think the issues have been more about not the team not getting into advantageous third down situations, and that makes life hard on any quarterback. It doesn't matter if you're a rookie or if you're a four-time MVP who's played more than 2 decades in the NFL. That is never an easy way to live when you're playing in this league, is if you're putting yourself in third and long quite a bit, and the Steelers right now rank 22nd in the NFL in distance to go on third down. So you don't, that's not a position you want to be in. You want to be in more advantageous situations. So I wonder, will we see the Steelers make a more concerted effort to try to run the ball on first and second down? Now, sometimes fans will hear that and you'd be like, the last thing we need to do is turn into a run-pass team. Well, the thing is, the Steelers are not a run-pass team right now.
Mm-mm.
You look at their run rate on first down, it's bottom third of the league. They don't run the ball a lot on first down. They run the ball 52% of the time. That's less than the league average of 54%. The Bills are right at the top of the league, and they're well over 60% of the time they're running on first down. And when you look at what Jaylen Warren's able to do on first down, he's got a 55% success rate on first down. He's averaging almost 5 yards a carry on first down. So it's working when you do run it with him, so why not do it a little bit more? That might help turn first and 10 into second and 6 a little bit more often. And second and 6 will get you either another first down, or it could put you in third and 2 or third and 3. And that's a lot easier to convert than third and 7, which is what they're averaging right now. So, yeah, when it comes to Aaron's performance, this past week was bad. I mean, there were some missed throws that just can't be there. I saw too much of the same kind of thing where if he would get hurried a lot early in the game and even take some hits like he did this again, when he was with the Jets last year, he would just get rattled, and he'd get to the point where, if the first read's not there, like the play's over. Like there's no hope for anything to really happen. And then he tries to force things to happen. That's what ended up happening throughout the game on Sunday night. I'm not as concerned about Aaron's performance until we see it. Like if he goes out there on Sunday against the Bengals and plays like that again, that's when you start to get concerned. But I think that performance was significantly worse than anything else we've seen this season, which is hilarious because that's not even the worst grade that he got from PFF, which is the
Might
New
say
England
more
game was
about
their
PFF.
worst one to him.
Yeah,
which is hilarious to me.
you kind of beat me to it, but I was gonna, really. I've been driving home the time of possession thing all week, and it's really been all year. But there's so many reasons to be poor in time of possession, but I think step one is just run the football a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I just rattled off those stats, and I understand, sometimes it sounds like I think people live in the world of this is the way the Steelers have been, and Arthur Smith has this, ancient offense. It's not, and that's not what the Steelers are doing right now. They're not running as an ancient offense. They're not running the ball a lot on first down. Maybe you should more often. And the last thing, and the one thing that I've seen, is I can't wait to see that 2nd and 8 run again. Well, best way to get out of 2nd and 8 on a more consistent basis is to do the things that you do well on first down. And right now, Jaylen Warren does some really good things on first down running the football. And you don't have to run it every single time. I'm not saying that your run rate on first down needs to be 90%.
Mm-hmm.
But should you be running it a little bit more often? Yeah, I think so. Especially, you found some, this team has found some successful ways to run the ball, whether it's with the jumbo package, whether it's, through, certain concepts that they've called whenever they have their normal, whatever, 12 or 13 personnel on the field, whatever it is. They've found some successful ways to run the ball, and Jaylen Warren's been more successful than you look at his overall season stats. It's he's been a really good running back, but he's going under the radar because he's not being used enough. And so I do think that he needs to get more touches. I think he needs to get more carries. I think they need to make a more concerted effort to run the ball on first and second down. Again, that doesn't mean run the ball every single time on first and second down, but man, I think when a team is struggling, especially to convert on third downs, what you need to make sure is either, number one, do what you can do to avoid third down altogether, or at least when you do get to third down, make it 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, something that is really a lot more manageable and a lot easier to convert. And right now they're not doing that. They're putting themselves either in holes either because of penalties or more often because they're throwing too much on first down, and they're throwing too much, and that puts you in 2nd and long if it doesn't convert. So it's important to be able to set that tone and be able to run the ball.
Hear, hear. Great stuff as always with our buddy Chris Halicke, taking some time on a busy Wednesday. Buddy, thank you. Great stuff as always, and we will see you this weekend.
All right, awesome. Thanks for having me, guys.
Anytime, partner. Thank you. There he goes, Chris Halicke. And, I mean, he's absolutely spot on a lot of that stuff. And that's something I'm hoping to see moving in the right direction this Sunday against those Cincinnati Bengals. Matt, let's get to a break here. When we come back on the other side, Rodney Dangerfield time.
Okay.
John Blutarski time. We're going to go around campus. Grab a brew. It don't cost nothing. Back to school to prove to Matt that I'm not a fool. I got my lunch packed up, my boots tied tight. I hope I don't get in a fight. That's from Billy Madison. It is time to go around campus here. We're not going that back to school like Adam Sandler. A lot of
names on this list.
And Billy Madison did. But, Matt, we have got a beefy.
It's the first time we got 3 pages.
3 pages. How about that?
Right.
On the Around Campus packet this week. We've gotten all kinds of tweets and messages and comments about this. I told you last week I went and checked my Instagram DMs, which I typically never do, maybe once or twice a year. And there were like a dozen of you in my Instagram DMs like, talk about Hayes King. Talk about Brendan Sorsby. Talk about Sawyer Robertson. Well, folks, ask and you shall receive. Because this is getting a lot of fun as the road is narrowing. More and more people are putting their hat into the ring of this conversation. Yeah. And like we've talked about, I think there's more and more conversation around, too, like could the Dante Moores, the Lenore Sellers of the world, could they come back for another year? Even someone like Ty.
Seems like a long shot.
Even like some, because they're going to be first-round picks.
I mean, I think they go back.
You think they go back?
I do, just because I think they'll make so much money next year in college.
It's tough.
I don't know. I mean, they would be first-round picks, though.
It's tough. And like Ty Simpson as well, too, you know? Fernando Mendoza is the only one right now that I say is coming out. No doubt.
Yeah.
And then some of these guys like Hayes King has to. You know, some of these guys that have to come out, that's a different story as well, too. Carson Beck has to.
Right. I don't know if you know this, and then I just learned today because we did a segment on a different show that Simpson right now is the betting favorite to be first pick overall.
Yes.
And Mendoza's right behind him. But still, that's pretty crazy.
He's started 9 or 10 games in his entire college football career.
Yeah.
Now, he's done very well in them. He's
of course,
8-1,
right.
But he's got 9 starts in his college football career.
At least Vegas thinks he is coming out. But, I mean, Moore and Sellers are on the list, too. But, right, yeah.
Off the top of my head, I can't remember a first overall quarterback pick that was a 1-year. Because even people throw Joe Burrow out there all the time. Cam Newton might be the one.
I mean,
but Joe Burrow started for
LSU
Trubisky
the year
didn't
before.
Start
many games.
True.
I don't know how many years they were.
Like,
Haskins was very little.
Trubisky's was very little. Haskins is a good one.
That
Cam Newton was 1 year.
That era before everyone was transferring, it wasn't that uncommon.
Yeah,
and hardly anybody did well.
That's a good point. But like Mahomes was multi-year.
Mm-hmm.
All these guys now, like the Sam Darnolds and the Baker Mayfields and the Jaden Daniels, and like they're multi-year. A lot of them multi-school.
Yeah,
you see on this packet here, more than 50% of the guys are multi-school guys. And so, yeah, it is always a lot of moving parts in this regard. But, Matt, here's what we know.
Okay.
Let's start with Fernando Mendoza because he's definitely coming out. He's definitely going to be a top 10 pick.
Yes.
Did not have his best game against Penn State, but he did the thing that we like to see. Poise, accuracy, despite not having his best day, led his team to a win in a big moment in Happy Valley in front of that crowd. I know Penn State is not what everybody thought they were going to be this year, but they still got some dudes on that defense.
They still have good football players.
Yes,
right.
They've got good football players, and even when it's not 110,000, maybe there's 20,000 empty seats there, it's still 90,000 people going nuts, tough atmosphere to play in. 19 of 30, 218 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He also did run for 20 yards and a score as well.
And he got the win.
But he got the win and made some big-time throws with some big-time pressure in his face down the stretch. I like seeing that from him because so far for most of this season, Everything's gone according to plan. It didn't
right.
go according to plan on Saturday,
No.
and he still found a way to get it done.
And it won't in the playoffs, and there'll be some.
Absolutely.
There are obstacles ahead. I would think. I mean, I haven't studied these guys or watched every snap of that game. That scouts did not move him backwards because
no,
of that game.
no, absolutely not.
Okay,
absolutely not.
Yeah.
Dante Moore, remember, left the game against Wisconsin a couple weeks ago, early in the third quarter with a kind of clothesline, looked like a head type injury. Then had a bye week. Returned to action, didn't have his best performance, but again, tough spot on the road, top 20 game in Iowa, crazy environment, and he took his team down the field to kick a field goal and win it at the end despite rainy, crappy conditions, made some impressive drives, didn't throw any touchdowns, had an interception, only 112 yards passing and 46 yards on the ground, but their number one receiver was out. Like I said, it was just...
Wasn't Mendoza's receiver out too?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, meant to mention that. Thank you. Coming back off of an injury, crappy weather, on the road against a top 20 team. Everybody knows Iowa, tough place to play, always have a good defense.
I mean, well coached, they're always going to be hard to play against.
He did the same kind of Mendoza, not quite to the extent that Mendoza did, but at the end of the game, when they're in the huddle and the team's all looking to him, we need to drive and we need points right here, we're going to lose. He got it done, drove them down the field in the pouring down rain to get into field goal position and win that game.
Okay.
Still very high on him, but he is definitely, for me, you want to be the 6th overall pick, or do you want to come back to Oregon and make $12 million and win a national championship?
Yeah.
And then maybe be the 1st overall pick.
And frankly, I understand both sides.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Lenore Sellers, coming off a bye week. He's another one that we've talked about. This year has not gone according to plan for him or according to South Carolina. Maybe off the bye week, he can stabilize a little bit down the stretch because next week they've got another huge test. They go to number 3, Texas A&M. Pardon me. I'm getting that wrong. He's coming off of his bye week. This week is a huge test. They go to Texas A&M. Sorry,
okay.
I kind of conflated that. He's coming off of a bye week, so nothing new to report, but a massive test on the road in College Station there at Kyle Field that you've described before as the crazy atmosphere against a number 3 team in the country.
I'd be shocked if he comes out.
I would too, but if you look at a lot of those mock drafts, they still have him going in the top 20.
That's the thing.
I
mean, all these guys are going to have this balancing act of, do I go back, make a nice buck, and
enjoy college life, be a kid for another year,
and fight with Arch, an Ohio State guy, and I mean, there might be more competition at the top last year.
No doubt.
Or does he look at it like, well, Moore went back, so I should go to the league because that's one less guy to fight with this year. You know what I mean?
Second quarterback taken.
Right. That'll be fun.
I think I think so too. That's going to be fun to. Does Ty Simpson declare early?
Mm-hmm.
Does Dante Moore declare early? Does that affect somebody like Lenore Sellers? That's stuff that when we get to January, we will absolutely be keeping an eye on. Speaking of Ty Simpson, let's go to him. 277 yards, a touchdown, 0 interceptions, and a 20-9 win over LSU. Didn't light it up, Matt, but impressive touch. He's accurate. And against what I think is one of the more underrated, like LSU, they fired their coach. They've had a lot go wrong this year, but I still think that's a top 10 defense in college football.
Kind of like the Penn State conversation. They still have big, fast, strong guys.
He was surgical. He was accurate. He has impressive touch. And, 277 yards and a touchdown. Confident, professional performance against LSU.
Okay. So no reason to go backwards on any of these guys.
Continues to check boxes. Let's talk about Jaden Miava. He's an interesting one for me, the USC quarterback.
Yeah, it's getting some first-round buzz.
He is, there's some Josh Allen elements to his game.
Okay.
He doesn't like getting sacked, and he's good at not getting sacked. He can extend plays. He can find guys downfield. He rolled in a 38-17 win over Northwestern. He's calm when the pocket breaks down. His decision-making is really strong. And, Matt, one thing that I love to see, he threw an interception in that game.
Mm-hmm.
You know what he did?
I'm reading it now, but
chased the guy down that threw the interception and forced a fumble at the goal line.
So great.
Hit the guy, fumbled it into the end zone. That's the kind of effort stuff you love to see.
Sign me up.
His most negative play of the game, he chased the dude down, forced a fumble at the goal line after throwing an interception. Love to see it.
Does he have to come out?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't.
I know
think
he's
this
a transfer
because he went to UNLV and is now 2 years at USC. So I think he has one more year of eligibility after this. Trinidad Chambliss is another one of these interesting guys. I think he's going to return to Ole Miss, But what if Lane Kiffin takes a different job? What if he continues to rise up some boards like he has? They played the Citadel. I mean, they just absolutely
not a lot to take away from this past week.
Yeah, they just absolutely dominated a bad team. But he's crisp, he's smart, he's athletic. He's got the dual kind of threat, can pull it down and move with his legs. Good decision making, has avoided costly mistakes for most of the season.
Little on the small side, though.
Little on the small side, 6'1", 200 pounds. He's another one of those guys that I was kind of telling you yesterday. While I think the first-round prospect group here might be shrinking, that kind of day 2 group is growing, and I think he's firmly in that conversation.
Okay.
Let's talk about Hayes King. He's the one we've gotten.
Is he in that conversation? Is he in that same neck of the woods? Okay.
Absolutely. He's going to be 25 before we even get to the combine. He's going to be 25 in January. It's his 6th year in college football. He was 3 years at A&M, now 3 years at Georgia Tech. They had a bye week, so nothing new on him. But they lost to NC State last week, and he was excellent in that loss. I mean, like threw for over 400 yards, ran for 100 yards, accounted for all their touchdowns. They lost like
one-man show.
They lost like 48-35, but he put up all 30. I mean, he was a one-man show for Georgia Tech. I'm very interested, Matt. About 10 days from now, he'll take on that Pitt defense down in Atlanta. And Pitt's defense has some good dudes on the defensive front. They've got some Kyle Lewis and some good linebackers that are going to play in the pros. As you and I have talked about before, Pitt's defensive backs are always tough to play against because they do that press man up style. Excited to see, coming off of his bye week and their first loss of the season, how Hayes King navigates this, because if they win out, they'll be in the ACC championship game. He's one of those guys I would love to see Georgia Tech get into the playoff, because I'd love to see him go up against like a.
Do they have a chance? I don't even know where they're at.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. They're 9-1 or 8-1 right now.
Okay.
If they win out, they'll be in the ACC championship game. And he's a real intriguing one to me.
He's definitely the name that was tweeted at us the most in the last week. What about Hayes King?
Because, I mean, he's putting up like 400 or 500 yards of offense every single week. Every single week.
He's been on the list, but we haven't dug into him a lot.
Yes. Yeah. He's one I think that he'll be an intriguing conversation around combine and draft time. Okay. Absolutely. Carson Beck, quick mention. He responded fine. Miami bounced back after that loss to SMU in overtime. He played well in a win against Syracuse, but like I told you, he has all the talent in the world. He lacks the leadership, the maturity. I think I'm just out on him no matter what I see down the stretch. John Mateer, a guy that we've been following through this process a lot, a guy that you really liked what you saw in the beginning of the season from him before he had that hand injury, missed some time, and has looked a little rusty since. I want to see how he plays down the stretch here, too.
Yeah, that could be the difference of going back or not. Probably.
Oklahoma's got a couple big games here beginning this Saturday at Alabama. He's coming off of a bye week now. Hand should be as healthy as it's been. They've had some time to, you get the bye week to rest, reset, self-scout, all that stuff. Really excited to see how Mateer finishes the year, because he's one of those guys that, could kind of be, he's projected, let's say, 25th to 35th pick in mock drafts. But when he gets to the combine, when he gets to pro days, all that stuff starts rocketing up draft boards.
I could definitely see that.
He's got that skill set. Matt, let's talk about Garrett Nussmeier for a second.
Yeah, we've kind of brushed him and Klubnik. We haven't talked a lot about.
Uhler, Arch Manning. I mean, those were like the four biggest names coming into the year, and they've fallen back. And Arch, I didn't put him on the packet this week, but maybe he will be next week. He's
playing better, right?
He's playing much better, and they have to go to Georgia. So if he can navigate that and somehow win, he'll get in that conversation again. But Nuss, I tell you what, they obviously lost to Alabama, like we were just talking about with Ty Simpson. But he completed almost 86% of his passes, 121 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Like he's looking like a day 2, day 3 pick.
Okay.
I think he deserves to be in these conversations again. He's shown some signs of life, but it would take a lot for him to get back into the first round.
And he's not physically overwhelming. Like, he doesn't have the biggest arm, the strongest body.
No. He's a coach's kid, smart above the neck, and that kind of stuff. Drew Aller still hurt. Obviously, we know that. Cade Klubnik's an interesting one to me, Matt, because he was amongst that, like the Mount Rushmore of this, of Klubnik, Aller, Nussmeier, and Arch before the season started. Klubnik is the one who's maybe clawed back the most. Clemson defeated Florida State 24-10. He completed over 74% of his passes, 221 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, also ran for a touchdown. I would say after a very slow start to the season, his stock is starting to trend up. He's one of the guys that we haven't talked about much, but maybe I could still see him becoming a first round, a Jackson Dart type range selection in the first round. He's looked much better the last couple weeks than he did the first half of the season, and obviously could finish strong.
And if his junior tape's as strong as people thought it was, I mean, that didn't go away either. Or his last year tape. I don't know if he was a junior or not. But.
Sawyer Robinson, another one of those guys we've gotten a lot of tweets about. The Baylor quarterback, 6'4", 220 pounds, coming off of his bye week, so nothing new to report. But they have Utah, one of the better defenses in the Big 12 at home this Saturday. Big test for Sawyer Robinson this Saturday. We'll have more information on him next week. He'll be one of those guys next week that him and Mateer, I really want to highlight. Coming out of their bye week, out of their bye week, kind of a crossroads, playing against two really good defenses.
Okay.
They're ones to keep an eye on this Saturday. Sam Leavitt, Arizona State, loved what he was doing the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I thought he was getting some momentum.
I was really kind of, hey, it's good for my Mountaineers, but we have to go out to Tempe this Saturday to play Arizona State. So good that he's not going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
But they have that wide receiver, too, who is Tet McMillan of this year.
Yes, he's first-round pick.
Might be a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
I was, as much as I'm happy that Leavitt, for WVU's chances to win isn't going to play, man, to watch those two against my team is always kind of, let's see how these guys, you want to watch your team
Different
play against those guys. Yeah, absolutely.
Familiar barometer.
But Leavitt could work his way back into this conversation. I also could absolutely see him staying another year. Couple more here. Two more, Matt. Y'all good?
Yeah, roll along, man.
Okay. Taylon Green. He's another one that we've gotten tweets about. Spent 3 years at Boise State. Now is in his second year at Arkansas. He will be coming out in the draft this year. He kind of defines size and dual threat, Matt.
That's what I thought,
6'6", 225. And, they fired their coach, Sam Pittman, like a month ago. So it's a program that has
not been a good year.
Wallowing in the wilderness. But his dual threat ability is undeniable. Single-handedly willed them to a win over Mississippi State. Key runs, timely throws. He is that offense. Handles pressure with maturity. Like Sellers, hard to evaluate on a bad team.
Sounds like a lot like Sellers.
But has undeniable traits.
Okay, yeah.
A lot like Sellers, not quite the arm, but much more prototypical size. He's 6'6", 225.
Yeah.
Much like Sellers, not quite the arm strength, but much better prototypical size.
Someone like that, would be great for me, the Steelers with the 22nd pick, if Rodgers is coming back.
Totally.
Yeah, just sit there and absorb everything that Rodgers says.
Jordan Love 2.0.
Yeah, exactly, right. Just like you did with Brett and Jordan did with you, right.
I am absolutely with you on that one. Last but certainly not least here, got a couple tweets this past week about Brendan Sorsby as well, too. Now, he's coming off a bye week, and before that had perhaps his worst performance of the season, blowout loss at Utah. Utah's really good defense.
You say he's at UC. Is that Cal?
Cincinnati.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right. I put UC in the packet.
Yep.
I
remember we were going to talk about Cincinnati. I didn't know his name.
Yep. Started at IU. Now is at Cincinnati. Matt didn't have his bye week this past week, and was a tough performance, tough sledding against Utah. He's got a Arizona team at home that's kind of ripe for the picking. I expect him to bounce back in a big way off a bad performance and then a bye week. But if you look at his numbers for the year, he's another 6'3", 235. You like the size, you like the athleticism.
Mm-hmm.
He's thrown for over 2,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. Also,
super productive.
Over 450 yards rushing, 8 touchdowns on just 73 rushing attempts. He averages 6.2 yards per carry. He is, all of Division I football, responsible for the most touchdowns in college football with 29.
I need to do more work on this guy. He's intriguing couple sentences here about him. Yeah.
He's really started to get on my radar. And we've talked a little bit about Derek Bell, who does some social media film breakdown stuff
right.
in Steelers territory. He loves college quarterback, breaking down film.
Yes.
I saw him last week. He was getting really into Brendan Sorsby.
Okay.
So I think the word's spreading a little bit. He was not one of these kind of on-the-radar guys at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I'd say that's why I don't know him.
But a little bit like Hayes King, a little bit like Sawyer Robinson. I mean, Matt, again, 29 touchdowns, 8 of those on the ground, 21 through the air, only 2 turnovers.
Yeah.
Productive.
Okay. No, that's really intriguing.
And I want to watch him down the stretch here, too. And hoping that Cincinnati can maybe backdoor into a Big 12 championship game. I would love to see him up against that Texas Tech defense. Matt, matchups in Week 12. There's a whole bunch from a quarterback standpoint to keep an eye on here, particularly Friday night.
Fun.
Clemson and Cade Klubnik are at number 15 Louisville Friday night. Oregon, number 9 Oregon, and Dante Moore host Minnesota Friday night. So some fun ones on Friday.
So there's two big-time quarterbacks playing.
Yes. 2
nights from now.
Exactly right. And I kind of college football used to have a stranglehold on Thursdays like a decade ago.
Yeah.
You remember in the Big East days, it was always WVU and Virginia Tech, Pitt and Miami, Thursday night.
We played a lot of Thursday games.
Big games. Now that's moved to Friday because, of course, the NFL has said
you're going to lose
ours.
that battle.
Thursdays
Right.
Much like they did to the NBA with the Christmas Day. Hey, guess what? That's ours now, buddy. Sorry about that. Couple fun games to watch on Friday night. Then Saturday, Indiana plays at noon. Mendoza hosting that Wisconsin team, which is a little bit on the up and up now. Playing better lately as Wisconsin. Sellers in South Carolina, like I mentioned, go to A&M.
Yeah.
I really like the A&M quarterback Reed as well, too. He's only a sophomore, so he's not draft eligible, but he's one of these Jada Miava types that, we might be talking about a lot next year if you want to keep an eye on him. Cincinnati plays at noon, hosting Arizona, like I mentioned, if you want to watch Sorsby. I know a lot of people around here, a lot of Pitt fans, a lot of Notre Dame fans. Your noon slate is locked in.
Yeah,
but
sure.
there's some good quarterback matchups in the noon slate as well, too. Then at 3:30, please watch Oklahoma and Mateer against Alabama and Simpson. That's the one if you can only watch.
That's awesome, right?
That's the one if you can only watch one at 3:30. 2 top 12 teams, 2 first-round talents at quarterback. Then Iowa takes that really good defense on the road to USC. Excited to see how Miava does against a very stout, very stingy Iowa defense.
You think Miava's stock's going up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's a top 20 matchup out there at the Coliseum in LA in Southern California. Chambliss and Ole Miss. They host Florida 7 o'clock at night. Florida is another one. They fired their coach. They've been a program up and down, but they got dudes on defense like they always do.
Sure, they have athletes, right?
Want to see how Chambliss does against that athletic defense that can move at home in a good test at 7 o'clock. As I mentioned, Baylor hosts Utah, one of, I think, maybe the most underrated team in college football in Utah. Really good defense on the road in Waco against Baylor, 7 o'clock. How does Sawyer Robinson look out of his bye week? And then finally, I threw Arch on here in this regard, where Texas, number 11 Texas, goes
in Georgia, right?
Goes to Georgia Saturday night, 7:30. Let's see how Arch has been arrow up these last couple weeks. Let's see how he looks in a tough environment against a top 5 team.
I mean, real quick on Arch. I mean, everyone on the planet seems to think, oh, he's going back. He has Manning money. They're going to give him a ton. We don't know that. I mean, if he finishes super strong and
if they win their last 2 games, they could get into the playoff.
And then look out.
And then if he has another solid game or 2 in the playoff.
Yeah.
Again, if his agent's telling him you'll be a top 15 pick in the draft.
I mean, I bet if he comes out, he'd be considered for number 1.
Absolutely.
I mean,
because he just still has some undeniable
He still
traits.
has the same things we talked about in the summer. I mean, I just know how it works. Last question for you.
Yes.
Does Notre Dame have a dude? They have a true freshman or something?
They do.
Okay,
so it's the true freshman bowl.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Between Henschel, of course, the Pitt quarterback, and then the Notre Dame quarterback, CJ Carr.
Okay.
2 great
I just know a lot of people
quarterbacks.
be watching that game, so I figured Notre Dame had to have somebody.
If you want to watch that game for an NFL prospect, Jeremiah Love, the Notre Dame running
back. So he's like Genty. I mean, he's going to be a high pick.
Bijan Robinson, Ashton Genty, top 10, top 15 pick.
That rare running back.
Running back, which means a lot. Means a lot. So, yeah, huge Week 12 slate. I'm very happy the Steelers are home on Sunday. That means I don't have to,
that's good for you,
I don't have to get on a plane Saturday, Matt. That means, hey, honey, take the girls and go somewhere nice because Daddy's got a bunch of college football games to watch for 14 hours, baby. I'm excited to dig my heels in.
Love it.
There's your Around Campus, a beefy one, maybe the longest one we've ever done here, heading into Week 12 and a big week in college football. Got another outstanding edition of Matt's stats to comb through. And I feel like there's kind of a funny ebb and flow of what I like to pick first to discuss with you.
Yeah, I always wonder what you're dropping on me first.
Like if the offense has a really good week, I'm like, we're going to go to an offensive statistic. The defense forces 5 turnovers against the Colts, and you get 1 on special teams. I'm like, we're going to talk about some defensive statistics. I want to start with something that kind of jumped out at me because
there's some alarming good and bad in this packet. Yeah,
you and I have pointed this out. I don't think the defense played poorly on Sunday.
No.
I think they held off the dam for a long time, and it finally broke, and they were on the field. So you combine how often they were on the field with the lack of splash plays, that's kind of the kryptonite for this defense.
Yeah.
If they're on the field a lot and they're not getting splash, that's when things can
leads
go
to
south.
trouble, yeah.
But I thought that they overall did their part. I don't think that they were the
they
reason.
played winning football.
They played well enough for that team to win, certainly.
My two complaints with the defense was, and these are going to happen as the game goes on when you're out there too much, was there were some holes that were large for Vidal to run through.
Particularly in the second half.
Particularly in the second half. And then not being able to really stop McConkey, but I didn't think Eccles, I mean, he had a tough game against McConkey in particular, and that one play was a remarkable throw, catch. The coverage wasn't bad. But, that, I mean, all in all, I'll take that from the defense every game. You win more often than not when the defense plays like that.
Agreed. I want to go to a defensive stat here that I think tells a tale. The Steelers' defense, 5th highest in blitz rate. Okay? And that's something we talked about.
And it's starting to drop, and I think it's going to keep dropping.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
And it's something that we talked about a lot going into this season. Play more man-to-man, play more press coverage. That allows you to dial up some blitzes, bring Patrick Queen, bring Peyton Wilson, bring Jalen Ramsey out of the slot.
Lead the league in sacks. It's
Lead
your
the league in
God-given right.
sacks.
Yeah,
it's your birthright in the black and gold here. And I think at times in the beginning of the season it was working. I'm with you. I think they have clearly dialed that back due to injuries and just some lack of success.
I don't think they have the man cover guys to do it. Right. They're going to have to do it differently.
Particularly when Ramsey is not up at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Steelers defense, 5th highest in blitz rate, but 23rd in EPA when they blitz.
So it hasn't gone well either.
So it hasn't gone well, which to me points to, okay, dial it back.
Yeah, exactly. Dial it back. Your 4-man rush is great. Huge thing we talked about leading into the Colts game, and they look like this juggernaut going into that game. I don't know how they could ever beat the Colts. And they are really good. I mean, they're the only team that's done it well.
Yeah.
And the thing we said over and over that week was just make Daniel Jones tap the ball half a second longer, because the pass rush will get home. Some of the stuff I've been tweeting lately about like the Steeler pressure rate and things like that are phenomenal. Like I've gotten so much responses on Twitter. It's like, it's not the pass rush's fault. I've been telling you this for 100 years, right? I mean, I don't need numbers to back it up. They have great pass rushers. It's not the pass rush's fault. So they don't have to disrupt the game by bringing 5. And I also think it's been when they blitz, they bring 6 a high percentage too. That's somewhere in the packet that they're at the top of the league in terms of 6 or more man pressures. And that's just a lot of grass to cover. And the Bengals game is a perfect example. It's like, I don't even care who's on Chase. If Flacco hits him in stride, I don't have any linebackers or safeties or anybody else to at least, dislodge the ball or help me tackle them. Or so I think they've figured out, hey, maybe these corners aren't as good in man as we thought. And even if Samuel factors in or when he factors in, he's much more of a zone guy. And it doesn't mean that's the only way to skin a cat. Just drop guys into zones and make them tap the football that way, and your 4 should get home.
And, even with that, you tweeted out a chart of EPA from
basically like the big plays you've made, and right,
based off of solo and assisted tackles, interceptions, forced fumbles, fumble recoveries, and sacks.
And that's EPA's 2 ways of looking at it. There's like an EPA per game situation, or actually it's per play. I mean, that's the beauty of it, is they break it down to the lowest common denominator. But when they talk about players, sometimes they accumulate too. Like the quarterback, it's a counting stat as well.
Yes. TJ Watt at the top of that list.
Number 1 amongst all defenders.
And Nick Herbig, number 9 on that list.
Yeah, and they're all the names you'd think.
So, Josh Sweat, Will Anderson, Aiden Hutchinson, Jared Verse, Myles Garrett, Montez Sweat, Joey Bosa, all these guys. Rashawn Gary, who we just saw a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, they're highly productive players.
That, to me, even more kind of supports you'll still get home with 4.
Trust these guys.
And
everyone's like, that's the highest paid defense in the league. Yeah, because those guys cost money because they're good. I mean, Highsmith doesn't play for free, and Watt doesn't play in Cam and these guys. That's why you paid them.
I know I've told you this before, and I laugh at this, and I get it. I do it too. But every time the Steelers defense doesn't have their best outing, $180 million, highest paid defense in the league, whatever it is. But when they force 5 turnovers against the Patriots or the Colts, no one's like, that's money well spent.
I've never heard on Monday. Boy, good investment there.
Wow, great investment.
Right.
I mean, it does work both ways.
Everyone talks like it's their money. What do you care what they pay out?
The salary cap's fake anyways.
Right.
I worked in Philadelphia for 3 years. I keep an eye on what Howie Roseman's been doing.
It's real fake.
Salary cap's fake anyways. It's
Yeah.
just a bunch of... I'm like Matthew McConaughey in Wolf of Wall Street.
Absolutely.
It's a Fugazi. It's
Yeah.
fairy dust.
Exactly. Keep him investing.
Matt, let's get to some stuff here on the offensive side of the football as we kind of bob and weave through some Matt stats. Pittsburgh's offense facing a too-high shell 54% of the time.
That's high.
That's the second highest rate in the NFL.
Yeah.
Run the ball. And I think get back to some of those quick hitters that we were seeing work so well with DK Metcalf at the beginning of the season. Get him the ball 4, 5, 6, 7 yards off the line of scrimmage in space.
Yeah, and that's a general thing. But the opposing teams are, as opposed to single high, are having a too high shell against Pittsburgh a high percentage of the time. And I bet people are shocked by that. And so, in some ways, I am too. Like, why are teams choosing to do that?
Look at the pass chart. Steelers aren't throwing the ball deep.
They're not throwing the ball deep. Right. I mean, they're not holding the ball. I mean, the ball's coming out as fast as any team in the league, if not faster. But Seattle was the same way last year. It's a Metcalf thing. People still fear him taking the top off. And say what you want about them needing another receiver or whatnot. Austin is also fast.
He's a burner.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Their pair of receivers are basically as fast as anyone in the league. I mean, they're Tyreek and Waddle. I mean, just pure speed.
Mm-hmm.
One of them's 70 pounds heavier than the other, but just in terms of winning a race, those two are fast. And I think that's the only thing I can come up with, because not only you're seeing a ton of too high shells, but you play with heavier personnel too. I mean, you're bringing 3 tight ends on the field, an extra lineman on the field. I mean, you're playing with big, heavy people on offense, and they're still not really crowding the box. You can't tell me that there's not run looks there.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't tell me.
I'm not trying to tell you. In fact, I think it's the opposite. And even kind of piggybacking off of that as it relates to this Sunday's clash with Cincinnati, the Steelers throw short at the NFL's highest clip. I don't think that surprises anybody.
No, of course.
But the actual percentage is kind of alarming. Nearly 76% of the time, 75.7% of the time, they're throwing short.
That's 10 yards or under.
10 yards or under.
Yeah.
Highest clip in the league.
But by a lot.
Three out of 4 passes.
Right.
76% of the time. Bengals defense.
I'd like to get a little less strong in that department.
I'd like that to be down in the 60s.
Yeah, especially in this game without a big pass rush to worry about. You know, like, can we push the ball down the field a little bit, you know?
But the Bengals defense is last in the NFL in EPA versus short throws.
Yes. They're last in EPA in a lot of
things.
But
have you seen them play defense, Uhler? Come on.
Right. I mean, their run defense is last. Their stuff for short passing last, you know. But yes, I mean, you should be able to play your game, though. I think is the bottom, you know, looking at it for this particular matchup.
Feels like your strengths, I was going to say match the Bengals' weaknesses on defense, but again, they're kind of everything is weak on defense.
Yeah, it's a remarkably bad group.
Here's one that I want to talk with you about that is not going to paint the greatest picture.
Sure.
But is what it is. Over the last 5 games, Aaron Rodgers' passer rating and completion percentage has declined each of the last 5 games.
And each of the last 4 games, his yards per attempt. Not how far he's necessarily going the ball, but what you're getting per attempt has gone down.
So let me ask you this. I think I did this with you a couple weeks ago. I forget what the topic was. Maybe the Steelers' offensive line after the first couple weeks of the season.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, Moats and I would do this thing, CCWP, calm, concerned, worried, panicked. Okay? When you hear that stat about Aaron Rodgers.
Worried.
Are you calm, concerned, worried, or panicked?
Worried.
Okay.
Not panicked. But I think because of his age.
That's the...
I mean...
and the weather's getting colder, and the hits are adding up.
Right,
and,
yeah. I mean, any of those... I'm sure Ben would sit here and tell you, or maybe even did while he was still a Steeler at the end. It's not that you just recover slower. Wednesdays are as much fun as they used to be. You know what I mean? Like at this start of the season, the first month or two when the weather's nice and you didn't do anything all off season and you trained how you wanted and you weren't fighting 3 different injuries. But when these older quarterbacks, it's this time of year when things, I mean, I could just give you 900. I mean, Breeze, Eli, Matt Ryan, on, all in recent memory.
Bumps and bruises associated with play, man. Russell
Absolutely.
Wilson last year.
Exactly. You know, so If he was 32 and he's playing exactly like this, I'm like, that's fine. I mean, it was a bad game. And really, there was one bad game. It's not like, boy, all these games are terrible. But the Colts game wasn't as good as you think. They just they win.
Got a lot of help from the defense.
Yeah.
$180 million well spent.
Exactly. There you go. Right. I mean, I think even Rodgers after the Colts game, and he's very self-aware and smart, said something like, we need to score more points when they give us the ball that much. And they did score points, but they need to score more. Realized we could have been better on that game too. The offense did not win that game. And then the offense basically lost the last game. But just rigors of the season for an old quarterback, not an aging quarterback. He's an old quarterback. He's over 40. That's why the worry.
Yeah, no doubt. And this kind of putting a full circle on a couple of the things we just discussed there. On pass attempts of 10 or more yards downfield, Aaron Rodgers has completed just about 40% of those attempts, slightly over 40.3%.
That's for the season. Right, and there's fewer than just about anybody. Because it's such a high percentage.
Such a high percentage of short throws, yes.
Yeah, and some of them, we've all watched the tape. Some of them are watched the games live. I mean, some of them are when the play breaks down, he's rolling to his right and five people are chasing him.
Sure.
But he's not the only one doing that in the league either. Right. But his deep ball accuracy or mid to deep ball accuracy hasn't been average. I mean, it's below average.
Nearly 69% of the Steelers' passing yards have come after the catch. Highest percentage in the league. Only team in the league over 60%.
And that's a lot more than number 2.
A lot more. And that, again, gets back to they're throwing short often.
Mm-hmm.
And at times, guys like DK Metcalf and Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington, they've been able to take a 6 or 7 yarder and turn it into a 20 or 30 yarder. But unfortunately, we haven't seen as much of that the last couple weeks.
No, we haven't. And I don't even know that that's a bad stat. That's just a style of play.
Yeah.
And frankly, yards after the catch is a feather in the quarterback's cap. I mean, if you're not super accurate with football, they got to stop their feet. Those
things work in concert together.
Yeah, you need to be good with the ball in your hands, whoever's getting the ball, and the guy has to get it to you on time, 6 inches in front of the numbers, as Walsh used to say, and then you can do with it. I can't be catching it behind me, stopping my feet,
Correct.
or I'm not going to get any yards
Turning
after the
around,
catch.
yeah.
Right, exactly. So Rodgers has been great in that respect, and most of it has come from Warren and Metcalf. The big plays have been Metcalf, but Warren, you give him the ball, those ones at the line of scrimmage or 2 yards downfield, and he picks up another 8 yards. Well, that's, you could do the percentages of how much of it came after the catch,
Right. So some interesting numbers there that kind of stood out to me when I started to comb through this.
They paint a picture, though.
They do. And that's all we're trying to do.
Yeah,
Paint a
yeah.
picture. Some good, some concerning. As we continue to
I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not predicting the future. I'm just telling you these are the picture of these teams and what we know about them to date.
And all it takes, Matt, is 60 minutes on a Sunday for trends to start to change as well, too.
Exactly.
So nothing is written in stone. Nothing is chiseled in concrete until the end of the year. We're not hard. I was just talking about Colorado football with you during the break there. Deion Sanders likes to say I'm not hard to find, right?
Okay.
The topics that you and I talk about on the show here are not hard to find. The themes are not hard to find. And one of those
contrary to popular belief, I'm not a mathematician or a great research person. These things are all out there.
No, but you did spend 7 years in college.
6. 12 terms.
They're called doctors, Richard.
Yeah.
One of the things.
Got a 2-1.
I'm sorry to throw you under the bus like that.
Hey, that 2-1 in creative writing was not easy to come by at Pitt Johnstown. It's a fine institution.
my 2.8 in broadcast media and sports communications wasn't too much better. Matt, one of the things that we have been talking about since July.
Yeah, before the season started, right.
3 key indicators: turnover differential, sack differential, explosive play differential.
Yeah.
And not every single week, but maybe like bi-weekly here, you and I
need to bring it up and just see where we're at.
Revisit that and see where we're at. Turnover differential, even taking a pretty substantial hit in LA, -3 on Sunday, you're still +6 on the season.
Yeah. It's still amongst the best in the league.
Although I will say, sometimes the plan just comes together. Steelers have lost 3 of their last 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
The 3 they lost the turnover differential. The 1 they won the turnover differential.
Sometimes it's that simple.
Sometimes it's just that cut and
I
dry.
know. These teams aren't that far outmatching each other,
Sack differential, this one doesn't shock anybody. Steelers are plus 14 in that department. It's been a strength.
Which is really good.
They lost sack differential the first 2 weeks of the season.
Mm-hmm.
In the opener against the Jets and then in the home opener against Seattle. But since then, they have only lost it against Green Bay. They've won it every other game, plus 16 on the year. That's a real
doing really well in that category.
Real strength.
Really well.
Real strength.
Yep.
Explosive play differential.
And I expect the sack one to keep up.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
no matter what
I don't
they
think there's
do,
anything
zone
fluky
coverage,
about,
man-to-man, blitz,
right.
just bring 4. I expect that to continue.
Yeah, even with the ball coming out of quarterback's hands quick and all that stuff.
Expect that to continue. Maybe there'll be some games, against certain teams where it's not quite the same advantage because they are playing some teams like the Lions that can get after the quarterback as well too. But that I expect to maintain a in the teens type advantage for the Steelers as the season rolls along.
I think they'll build on that even as the season goes on.
Agreed.
This other one, though.
What really hurts you, though, is your explosive play differential. Matt,
it's really poor.
The Steelers have only won it once this season, and it was that Browns game at home.
Okay.
-4 in that department against the Chargers. -8 in that department against Indianapolis. -5 in that department against Green Bay. And man, it's
particularly bad in the run game, right?
Particularly, well, it's kind of gone back and forth.
Okay, yeah.
Like against the Chargers, you were even in
pass
explosive play differential, but -4 in the run game differential. Against the Colts, you were even in run game explosive plays, and man, you would have signed for that in blood with Jonathan Taylor.
Right. Yeah, sign me up for that.
But you were -8 in the pass game.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine
Pierce
if you didn't,
and Pittman and those guys had some big plays.
Imagine if you didn't get all those turnovers. So to me, that's a real struggle. We know,
and it's a Steeler thing. It's not an opponent thing. We've watched enough now.
Correct.
If you just look, it's in the stat pack. It's not in that spreadsheet. Steelers' offensive explosive play rate is at the bottom of the league.
It's the bottom of the league.
It
doesn't matter.
I think
run
it's
game,
32,
pass game,
right?
combined.
Just explosive plays. I think they're 32 or right around there. They're 27 or later. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yes.
And the defense, I think the defense has gotten better in this regard. Well, I'm not even sure. But the defense has allowed way too many big plays, too.
And a big part of it, you know what, Matt? You've almost, up until this loss at the Chargers, you were doing much better in the run explosive play department.
A lot of that was early in the season, I think. Like the Jets had big runs, and
Correct. Since Dublin, you won the explosive run play differential against Minnesota, against Cleveland, against Cincinnati. Tied stalemate with Green Bay and Indianapolis, but then -4 against the Chargers, and like you mentioned, a lot of those second half back-breaking, not 40, 50-yard runs.
I'd say that's
by Vidal, but
it wasn't Taylor taking
but
an 80
11,
like he
12, 13-yard runs,
right.
moving the chains, keeping your defense on the field, keeping your offense on the sideline.
And I'm sure some real advanced stats people could tell you not all explosives are the same. It's different if you score an 80-yarder on the first play of the drive.
A 10-yard run is an explosive run. A 60-yard run is an explosive run. There's a big difference there.
But over the course of the year, I think you get an idea.
Yeah, water finds its level a little bit.
Now, I love Jaylen Warren. But I don't think all of a sudden he's going to start ripping off 30, 40, 50s. He never really has.
Yes.
Najee never
what
really
he
did.
does well is he turns a 4-yarder into a 9-yarder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, he's just not a long speed guy. Neither was Najee.
Yes.
Right.
He's not a home run hitter in that regard.
No. I mean, there's been stretches over the last couple of years where the Steelers have a lot of 10-plus yard runs, but hardly any 20s.
Yes.
So that's one thing that's not going to probably change is the real long run.
They've got to get back to see like explosive run differential. You're -8 on the year. That's not great.
I can live with it.
That's 1 per game.
Yeah.
It's not terrible. -25 in the pass game is bad.
It's crazy.
Is real bad. You've only won that differential battle twice this year.
I mean, some of the real alarming stats in the stat packet are like the number of yards they allow to wide receiver position.
Yes.
I mean, it's like 194 yards a game.
Yes.
Just to the wideouts. And guys outside the numbers, if you just slot.
And the only time all year that you can excuse that is it was garbage time was the Colts game.
Right. That's when it didn't.
Other than that, it's been
I mean, the
meaningful.
Bengals was the most glaring example.
Packers
obviously.
as well, too.
Yeah.
Those back-to-back games.
Yeah.
So it doesn't.
And to their credit, they've made a lot of defensive back changes, knowing these things. I assume.
Yes.
I mean, it's not real hard to figure out.
No doubt. And one thing that kind of strikes me too is the Steelers' missed field goal differential this season is only +1. And I'm not saying that to say like, wow, Boz is missing. No, but it's opposition are not missing as many against the Steelers.
That's all field goal luck.
Yes.
And
last year it went I bet you if we would have been doing this exercise, I don't even know if you and Dale did last year, but I bet you the Steelers' missed field goal differential last year was pretty substantial.
I'm sure.
In the red, in a good way.
It definitely was positive.
Or in the black, sorry. Red's negative, black's positive. I didn't go to accounting school.
Right. They didn't teach that in creative
writing. In the
writing.
black. Yeah, you want to be in the black, not in the red.
Agreed.
Right?
Yes, I think you're right about that.
Did you take any accounting classes?
I think you're right about that.
+1 is not
And they always are. Boz is going to make a higher percentage than his Steelers opponents.
But you haven't had the luck of the misses from your opponents as much as you have in the past.
And people might be like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I've explained this before, but I thoroughly believe in field goal luck. Maybe the Steelers are slightly better than most teams at blocking a field goal over the course of the year because Danny Smith's good and they block a lot of punts too.
Sure.
Maybe.
Sure.
But for the most part, if it goes between the uprights or not, has nothing to do with the defense.
Think about it. I mean, Boswell missed a field goal this year because he slipped on the turf.
Right.
Nothing the defense
did. It wasn't like the opponent was so good at blocking kicks. Right.
Correct.
I mean, sometimes you just they hand you 3 points, and they don't take 3 points away from you, and they give you the ball midfield because they missed, and that's not really in your hands.
No, it is not. No, it is not. And so certainly something that we keep an eye on, something that we track around here, but wanted to
every couple weeks we need to
every couple weeks
stop in on that.
Keep an eye on that.
But the explosive play differential is terrible. The other stuff's good.
And this feels like a Sunday you got to get that moving in the right direction because we know you're going to be able to hit explosives against that defense.
Yeah.
We saw it a few weeks ago.
But I bet the Bengals' explosive play rate's pretty darn high.
But they're sitting in their offensive meetings right now and saying we can really get some chunk plays on these guys.
Now, one thing about the Bengals in particular, I know their explosive run rate is way down. I mean, like a distant last. And the only game that they had any explosive runs was against the Steelers.
Okay.
I mean, Chase Brown's done. I mean, their run game has done nothing in breaking off long runs or any kind of consistency.
That's good to know.
So yeah,
I like that.
Their receivers are very explosive.
I like that a lot. It's time to talk a little bit of that with Matt Williamson here on The Drive. A little segment we call 5-Star Friday.
It's a 5-star matchup because we're in it.
5-star matchup. Everybody we play is a 5-star matchup because we in it.
All right, Matt. We have done this once already for the Bengals. We have talked matchups. We're familiar with a lot of these names. It's a divisional foe that we're seeing for the second time around. Here's where I want to start with you, though, before we do get into some specifics. It's a Steelers secondary that is a little different since the last time these teams met.
Very different. It's different week to week anymore.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
And while the names aren't crazy different, the roles are different.
I mean, when we're recording this Friday, we don't know what's going on with Samuel yet, right?
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, I think we'd both be surprised if he played.
I've gotten people that seems to know. Half of them think, oh, he's going to play.
We'll keep an eye on that.
Half of them seem to think
see if anything
he
comes
needs a week or,
Maybe we'll ask Kyle Duggar when he joins us here.
I was actually going to. I was going to bring it up. I was going to.
Asante Samuel Jr. going to play, buddy? Peel the curtain back for us.
I wasn't going to ask it that way, but I am going to ask him, hey, how would you recommend getting on the moving train with a new team as fast as you had to, You only get 3 days. He only had a couple days with the team before
really
Duggar played and played
actually.
well. Right,
we'll save that one for Duggar here in hour number 2. But how can a Steelers secondary, doesn't sound like you're going to have Slay. Now
I'm going to assume they don't have Slay.
Now Ramsey.
I think I'm going to act like Pierre and Porter are your outside corner.
With Eccles in the slot.
Well, maybe. Well, this team plays so much 11. We even broke down a lot of the personnel tendencies and stuff because we really did 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, but it hasn't changed that much. But this team leads the league, I think, in 11 personnel, or they're right at the top.
Okay.
So you're going to see a lot of nickel. Steelers don't like to go dime. I mean, dime's becoming less and less prevalent in the league, but side note. So you're going to see a lot of nickel. I would think your corners are Pierre and Porter on the outside and Eccles at the slot.
That would be my guess.
Ramsey and Duggar as your safeties.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So, again, some of the same names, but in different roles.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the biggest change being Jalen Ramsey moving back, and
Duggar wasn't around the first time around.
and Duggar wasn't around the first time around. So it is a different safety tandem for the Pittsburgh Steelers than the one that they took to Cincinnati last month.
Mm-hmm. And as safeties go, Ramsey's elite.
Yes.
I mean, just as a coverage player.
Yes.
I mean, just purely guard. So many coordinators. If I can get Jamar Chase through the first level and on a safety deep downfield, I got him right where I want him. Well, Ramsey's different that way. Yeah.
A little bit
He's
different.
A corner, right?
So let's dig into that a little bit here. What does this reworked Steelers secondary look like against this Bengals pass game?
Yeah.
Are they in a better position? Are they in a worse position? Is it maybe just a different position?
It's definitely different.
What's that look like with a different safety tandem than the Steelers had the first time these teams met?
So just speaking safeties, I read this morning and it didn't shock me at all. But we know the Steelers prefer to be a single high team. Now, the Steelers have been drifting more and more to two high the last couple weeks with these safety changes.
Yes.
Which I think is smart. But what I didn't realize was when they played the first time, it was the highest percentage of single high safety that the Bengals saw all year. Nobody does that to the Bengals.
Okay.
I mean, you're daring them to attack downfield outside the numbers, so most teams just put a lid on it, tackle the catch, etc. And that wasn't, to me, I mean, of all the problems the Steelers had against Chase especially, but Higgins and everybody, it wasn't getting beat over the top. I mean, it wasn't like the too high safety thing was, where you got exploited. Because, I mean, if you're going to exploit a single high safety, usually it's outside the numbers deep, because they can't get over.
Sure.
But that's not where Chase did his damage, or Higgins for that matter. In this one, it was across the middle. It was short stuff, run after catch, etc. But I still think you'll probably see a much higher percentage of too high than you did. I hope you see a much less percentage of blitz. I mean, because you realize
we talked about that a little bit yesterday, how it's just not been.
Flacco's shows he beats the blitz now.
Yes.
And I know you'd love to hit the old guy, but I think you can get there. I just want him to pat the ball. It's the same thing we said about Daniel Jones. Just
one extra
pulse,
half second.
Yeah, one pulse longer would go a long way. And I want a lot of people in those short to intermediate zones to help. I mean, as opposed to, hey, Pierre, you got Chase. Pierre's playing well.
Yes.
And frankly, I might be more confident with Pierre than Slay at this point. I mean, I think Pierre's played better than Slay this year, smaller amount. The other thing, the Steelers have a history. It's not exclusive. Is Porter, you have Porter, you have Higgins, and then we'll do a lot of stuff with Chase. I don't know what to think, but I'm going to be keeping a lot of eyes on. Is that how they'll attack this week too? And basically, Joey, you have him alone. Which doesn't mean that Higgins won't get balls thrown his way, but that's often a approach they've taken against the Bengals.
Yes, they have, and it's going to be interesting. Jamar Chase was. I don't know if you heard. I think it was yesterday. He was asked about Joey Porter Jr. and he said that guy's handsy.
He is.
But it's one of those things where I think eventually something has to give for the Steelers secondary against these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we know how good they are.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the Steelers secondary, it's not like every talented wide receiver tandem comes in and lights these guys up.
No.
Just for some reason, these two, particularly when they're on the field at the same time, have been a real bugaboo for the Steelers. Like Alan Saunders, who we know he works for Pittsburgh Sports Now. He did like a breakdown that I saw him post on Twitter a few days ago this week, where the Bengals offense against the Steelers when Chase and Higgins have both been on the field, and the Bengals offense against the Steelers when just one of those guys has been missing.
Oh, okay.
And it's like a drastic difference.
I bet it's huge.
It's a drastic difference. And that makes some sense.
You take a good player off the field, you're going to be worse.
Absolutely.
Right.
But it was a very drastic, it was
starker than it should be.
It was like without one of those guys, they struggle to score 20 points against the Steelers.
Okay, as opposed to
38 with both of those guys, they're
40
scoring in the 30s pretty much every single time. At some point, this secondary, not completely put the clamps on these guys and shut them down, but I think they're almost due for a good showing against. You know them so well. There's no secrets. You know how they're going to play. You know how they're going to attack you. Go respond
That's
to
100%
it. And
sure.
punch back a little bit.
Yeah. No, I understand all that, and I don't disagree with you. The other thing is in the first meeting, when you left Yoshivas in good coverages, Flacco was hitting them.
It's
Fant,
true.
It
wasn't just those two.
Right. I mean, so, but I'll be honest. I mean, if Yoshivas and Fant each have a touchdown and combine for 100 yards, we might be fine with that on Monday. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to be overly concerned with those guys. Not that they're bad. It's just, I'm going to roll coverages much more to those outside studs.
Yes.
But I don't have great answers. I mean, blitz less, more zone. It's pretty clear you couldn't man up with them.
No, absolutely not.
And if you can, but I mean, don't even try.
Correct. And I think the one part of, to bring it back to some of the Asante Samuel Jr. stuff, with more zone, I think you would like to have
I would think so too.
that guy in the fold on Sunday, if possible.
If possible.
Now,
zone takes a little more communication. When do I pass him off to the next guy or whatever?
Yes.
But, I mean, I think by signing him, you kind of said, yeah, we're probably not going to play a ton of man going forward. I mean, we realize what we're at here. Slay seems better in zone now. Eccles seems better in zone. Everyone but Porter.
Matt, some news from Cincinnati here, as they have officially ruled out Trey Hendrickson, Shamar Stewart, and Samaje Perine for Sunday's game.
Okay.
So two
not
defensive
super
end
surprising,
pass
but
not
still.
surprising.
Perine I knew would be out.
Perine is, their clear-cut number 2 running back. That's a bit of a loss. I mean, Chase Brown
He's also real solid in protection. And
he is.
He's a pro.
He's a good situational running back.
Yeah,
he's an
reliable.
ideal. You were talking about this a little bit with Labs, like how the Steelers' backfield feels like it's missing a hammer.
Right.
Like he's a nice hammer to have in
He's a hammer that protects and he can catch the ball a little bit.
Good in short yardage situations, all that stuff. But no Hendrickson, no Stewart, kind of the two big-name pass rusher bookends for the Bengals. Not surprising, but now, just a few minutes ago, have officially been ruled out by Cincinnati.
And partially because of this, partially just because it's a bad defense. But I don't think there's any excuse to have a really low average depth of target. And I know that's how Rodgers wants to play. And I think a lot of people overreact just saying, Steelers can't protect. That's the only reason the ball's coming out so fast. There's ways around that. I mean, the Chargers couldn't protect. I mean, the Chargers didn't have players. I mean, I know Broderick Jones needs help. We'll help him. I mean, I'd like to see them push the ball down the field a little bit more. Attack from 10 to 20 in neighborhood a little bit more. Not just bombs away necessarily, but let's drive the ball down the field, especially on some third downs. It seems like they throw – I know you can find the numbers, and I didn't look them up, but – they sure seem to throw short of the sticks on third downs.
A lot.
Yeah. A lot.
That's one thing that I'm sure the numbers back up, and the eye test certainly does.
Yeah.
And that's been the case for just more than this year, I
It's
think.
not just a Rodgers or it's not just an Arthur Smith, but, I mean, they're always at the bottom of the league with that stuff. Right.
Matt, spinning the block here. I wanted to ask you from a Steelers offense versus a Bengals defense perspective, is the matchup to keep an eye on really DK Metcalf against DJ Turner?
I guess. I don't know that they'll follow, but Turner's definitely the guy. If you're going to avoid anyone, fine. Sort of like we just talked about with Higgins, I would imagine if Turner's on Austin, he'll be alone. Now, it doesn't mean he can't go his way, but I mean,
sure.
He's one of the few guys that can run with Austin. He was like a 4.2 guy at his combine. I mean, he's a little leaner, but he's really, really fast. Every team's doubling Metcalf. I mean, it's not even a hidden or a secret. I mean, I know you can also look up double team rates. Maybe I haven't been doing my job with my stats this week, but his has to be through the roof too.
It got to be, especially it feels like the last couple weeks
in particular. And we all know he's a good player, but he's not the best receiver in the league. He should not be the most doubled receiver in the league, and I bet he's near the top. Which to me is an argument for why you need a second receiver, not just. What if Metcalf gets hurt? It's like, well, you're not getting the most out of Metcalf. You know what I mean?
I understand the argument of, wide receiver twos have never been a big fixture of Arthur Smith offenses.
Right.
I get that side of the logic. But the other side is it's almost like it's a distraction element. Like you just even if they're not going to be a big focal part of your offense, it's someone to take attention off DK Metcalf.
Off the number one. Like a good example would be like Atlanta. Like everyone knows London is the one. And I'm going back to, I picked them because Arthur Smith was there.
Sure.
And they went and got Mooney after Arthur Smith. But yes, everyone knows that you want to get the ball to London. But if Mooney's over there, he's not the best receiver in the world either. But it makes London's life a little easier. It's just little bit less attention.
Even for Chase Higgins being the Chase Higgins. Even for Chase being the destroyer of worlds that he is, and the best receiver in football, think of how much easier his life is made by T. Higgins.
Right, or Jefferson and Addison.
Addison.
Like where there's a clear gap between the two. But you got to have somebody that is going to rip up single coverage if you're going to leave him there all the time. And the Steelers don't have
so many of the times when AB was having his best year, it was when Martavis Bryant was playing well, and when Juju was playing well.
Right.
When
lighten my load a little.
Someone else that they got to respect, someone else that they got to keep an eye on. But yeah, I feel like this is another big one for Metcalf. It's been a few weeks since we've seen him have some of those DK Metcalf, jump off the screen type highlight plays.
Yeah.
I feel like he'll have the opportunity to do so again.
Oh, he should. I mean, he should still do well, even if he's getting a lot of extra attention. I would still not. The other thing is, we've definitely talked about this throughout the week, is because of where the offense is, I want the ball in my best player's hands and my most reliable. And to me, that's three guys. That's Warren.
Yep.
Metcalf.
Yep.
And Muth.
Yep.
I mean,
especially against the Bengals.
But right.
Muth's walking into Canton if he plays every game against Cincinnati.
Yeah. And they're terrible against tight ends. Their safety linebacker plays really, really bad. That's part of the reason. People are like, why is Freiermuth kill the Bengals? Well, because they're terrible. And tight ends are really ripping them up. But he does have quite the history. But I would simplify things a little bit and be like, I'm going to do designer plays to get the ball in those three guys' hands. I love Washington. I mean, Gainwell, Jonnu, Austin, Roman. I mean, none of them are bad. Doesn't mean they don't get any targets, but I would make the game plan more concentrated.
If you got a shooter, Matt, you draw up screens and picks and plays to get your shooter looks.
Yeah.
Let's get those offensive shooters looks.
The one thing I did see too is they're near the bottom of the league or at the bottom of the league, not necessarily in motion. So a new thing that the analytic dorks are taking to a new level lately is people are familiar with motion rate. How often do you use motion?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of different versions of motion.
Sure.
Like, I'm not a coach, but like a lot of the Matt Canada motion didn't accomplish much. It was just one guy trying
window
across
dressing.
here. Yeah, like, okay, maybe I'm getting a man look, maybe I'm zone look. Where you watch like the Dolphins. Tyreek Hill is in motion at the snap. That's a big thing people are charting too, is how much motion when the ball is actually snapped.
Yep.
And the Steelers are real low in that too. Let's do some of that to manufacture. You can scheme things up for Metcalf to get open. Let's not have to line up at the same place and get doubled.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Set a pick, like you said. I mean, make a basketball reference. Right.
100%.
Scheme them up.
Scheme them up, baby. Let's get it done. Joining us now, a new member of the Steelers secondary, of course, safety Kyle Duggar. Kyle, thank you so much for taking the time. And I imagine these last couple weeks have been a little bit of a whirlwind for you.
No doubt. And I wouldn't say whirlwind. It's just been a lot of work. Definitely foot has been on the pedal.
So, Kyle, I'm curious. There's another newer member, Asante Samuel, of the secondary, and I have no idea if he's going to play or not, and I'm not asking you any inside scoop on that. But if he were to play, he's kind of in the same situation as you were, not many days to prepare for the new team. What would you recommend to him, to make that transition a little easier?
Just a lot of film, a lot of being in playbook, spending a lot of time with the coaches, and just kind of making the most of every second up until game day as far as studying.
That game had to be a lot to digest for you, doing it live.
It was fun. I'll say that.
Well, Kyle, I got to imagine too, like to use a Mike Tomlinism, you did a great job of hopping on the moving train Colts week and getting ingrained with everything you were being asked to do. Is that maybe a little bit easier when you've got a veteran coach like Mike Tomlin, a defense that is, also full of experienced veterans like TJ and Cam and Ramsey and Slay? Did that at least make things a little bit more comfortable, a little bit easier on your end?
Most definitely. Those guys specifically in that situation, obviously making plays all around me, and the communication was huge. They were, they obviously knew the situation and were making sure that we were communicating every snap and just flowing as a defense.
So I know you and Jabril Peppers haven't been on the field together as a Steeler yet, but I would imagine coming from one system and helping you translate it into this system that Peppers has been a useful guy from you coming from New England, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
He's been like a personal translator. He's making it all, simplifying everything for me.
Kyle, obviously it's not a simple task for you guys this Sunday against one of the NFL's high-flying offense, veteran quarterback in Joe Flacco, maybe the best receiver in the NFL in Jamar Chase, and another incredible one in T. Higgins. What's kind of the task at hand to slow down this Bengals offense that's been putting up a lot of yards, putting up a lot of points the last few weeks?
I would say making them one-dimensional is definitely a task and a goal. Stopping the run, and then just executing our defenses and winning our 111. But definitely making them one-dimensional will make things easier.
Kyle, my last question for you is, you were drafted by Bill Belichick, right?
Yeah.
Obviously one of the greatest coaches in NFL history. Like, what kind of influence did he have on you early in your career? And I'm sure you learned a lot. And, what did he preach to you guys?
Discipline. He was big on discipline, and he had a different kind of an understanding as far as defenses go. And so he kind of was super focused on taking away what opposing teams do best. And as a safety, I was pre-snap looks, disguises, and things like that.
Okay.
Kyle, thank you so much for taking the time. We know it's a busy time of the year for you guys on game day here on a Friday. Thank you for giving us a few minutes of your time, and go give them hell on Sunday.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. There he goes. Kyle Duggar, the newest. Well, I guess I can't say that
Not
anymore.
the newest.
Asante Samuel Jr. is now technically the newest member, although maybe until he's officially activated to the 53. Yeah. Maybe we can continue to get away with it. But thanks to Micaiah and everybody at Steelers PR for setting that up for us, and for Kyle for taking some time there at a busy time in the week. For those guys, certainly a big opportunity for him and for that secondary on Sunday, Matt.
Yeah, huge challenge too.
Huge challenge against the Bengals at home, 1 o'clock, the rematch in this Cincinnati-Pittsburgh rivalry where the Steelers are 5.5-point favorites at home, Matt. What's your prediction for this one? How does it play out? That's a pretty big number. I
picked my number before I knew the line, but it's basically right on there. I have the Steelers winning 35-30, so I guess not covering. I didn't give the line any thought, to be honest with you.
Close to covering, but right there.
Yeah, and I think it comes back to proud organization, proud quarterback that didn't show their best, that should rebound well at home. As Missy mentioned, and 1 o'clock at home, normalcy, I think, goes a long way. And in the end, I'll be blown away if the Bengals defense makes more splash plays than the Steelers defense. And that was, to me, that was the difference in the game. Neither defense stopped anybody in that game, as all Bengals games are. But one side had splash and the other side didn't. And I think 3 out of 4 times, that side would be the Steelers, not the Bengals. Maybe 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully Cincinnati got away with it the one time at Paycor Stadium a few weeks ago. But the Steelers will get their vengeance. Pardon me. Matt, I have the Steelers winning, but not covering as well.
Okay.
30-27.
All right.
Is what I'm going to go with. So
that's like a low-scoring game for the
Bengals.
Bengals.
These two, it is. Yeah. It is. You know what, though? The over-under 49.5 is not
massive. Is that it?
That's not massive.
I would have guessed it's like 57.
Mid-50s.
Yeah.
Would have been my guess. Yeah, absolutely. So Matt and I both taking the Steelers to win, get back in the win column, get to 6-4, and set up what would be a fun trip to the Windy City between the Steelers and the Bears next weekend.
You're tuned to The Drive on your 24/7 home of the Black and Gold, Steelers Nation Radio.